Good evening and welcome to the script. I'm your host, Isaac Paul. Let's go ahead and dive right in because we got a lot to talk about tonight. I hope that you all have a drink, right? Because this is officially late night with the script. I know it feels like I'm pushing this time back further and further, but, because of the kind of content that we talk about, and it is adult oriented, not necessarily risque, I always felt like it's probably better in the evening, right? Like kind of nighttime. This is more of a nighttime vibe. But let's go ahead and just hit you with the description early on for those of you all that may be tuning in for the first time. This is a collaborative effort between the Tequila Tales and blackdoctor.org. Blackdoctor.org is just a phenomenal organization with the primary purpose of aligning people with healthcare practitioners of color. It's not that there's anything wrong with anyone else. It's just that sometimes, you may be searching for a healthcare practitioner that kind of understands you on a more cultural, emotional level. There's many nuances to being Black. And sometimes you may want the healthcare practitioner that you're speaking to understand you from that space, right? And so that's what blackdoctor.org seeks to do, is to connect individuals with those healthcare practitioners that are also people of color. And so, this has been just a wonderful collaborative effort. And this is also kind of like the digital counterpart to the Tequila Tales. Now, what is the Tequila Tales? The Tequila Tales is a fully engaging and highly interactive discussion on love and relationships. What it is not is a panel discussion. And I'm always clear to specify that because, with panels, the whole goal with panels is to hear other professionals speak, to hear other thought leaders or other individuals just sharing their thoughts and their emotions. But with the Tequila Tales, our motto is, with love, we all have a story to share. And so my goal is to get those authentic stories from the very people that attend our shows. And this is the digital counterpart of that, right? And so right now we are streaming across 5 different locations, regardless of where you are watching this from. If you watch it and you are the only person in that particular room, I can still see the feedback that you are giving, right? So for instance, right now, bam, Casey says she's watching from Arizona, right? So I have the ability to communicate with you and pull your comments up directly from the live. So, we got a lot to cover, and feel free to share your feedback because we got some stuff. We got some stuff that we're gonna touch on. Quite a bit has been in the news, and then also there's been a couple of relationship topics too that I really wanted to touch on. So dive in, strap in, and like I said, if you are not drinking already, go ahead and grab yourself, a glass of wine because we're gonna have some mature adult conversation. Now, where do we begin? Let's always start with one of my favorite segments. In the news, there has been quite a bit that has been occurring. And, we're not going to touch on too much, but I mean, how do you not? Okay. So where we will begin is with Trump's $400 million jet gift from Qatar, right? We'll name this a flying palace or ethical turbulence. So let me go ahead and give you all a rundown for those of you all that may not be very aware of what's happening. The situation: President Donald Trump is set to accept a $400 million Boeing 747 jet from Qatar's royal family. Dubbed the Flying Palace, the jet boasts opulent features like a master suite, multiple lounges, and gold accents. And Trump loves gold accents. Trump plans to use it as a temporary Air Force One and later transfer it to his Presidential Library Foundation. Now, Trump's defense. Trump argues that accepting a jet is cost-saving measure, stating, why wouldn't I accept the gift? He emphasizes the jet's superiority over the current 40-year-old Air Force One and dismisses criticism as partisan attacks. Now, here are some of the critics' concerns. There's some legal issues. One, there is a clause in the U.S. Constitution which prohibits federal officials from accepting gifts from foreign states without congressional approval. Senate Democrats, led by Chuck Schumer, are demanding answers and threatening to block Justice Department nominees over this issue. And Chuck Schumer is really big about sternly worded letters with a lot of heated questions. So you do not want to get on Chuck Schumer's bad side, because he will send you the worst Karen style email to customer service that you have ever had. Okay. So I'm literally shaking in my boots, as I'm sure Trump is. There are also security risks. Experts warn that retrofitting the jet to meet Air Force One's security standards will be costly and time consuming. There's also concerns about potential surveillance equipment and other security vulnerabilities. And there's ethical implications, which to me is by far probably one of the clearest ones. Critics argue that accepting such lavish gifts from foreign governments could be seen as an attempt to buy influence, especially given Trump's business dealings in the Middle East. Now, we've had some, reactions already from people. I'll go ahead and share one of the major ones by President Trump himself. The Boeing 747 is being given to the United States Air Force Department of Defense, not to me. It is a gift from the nation, Qatar, that we have successfully defended for many years. It will be used by our government as a temporary Air Force One until such time as our new Boeings, which are very late on delivery, arrive. Why would our military and therefore our taxpayers be forced to pay hundreds of millions of dollars when they can get it for free from a country that wants to reward us for a job well done? This big savings will be spent instead to make America great again. Only a fool would not accept this gift on behalf of our country. Thank you for your attention on this matter. Yo, listen, let me tell you something, man. It pisses me off, but let's state the obvious. Listen, all I'm gonna say is, with everything that's been happening with all of these planes that's been falling out of the sky, all you're doing is just creating a scenario. That's all I'm gonna say. Is you are just creating a scenario, and just know that if it happens, I'm gonna be like the emoji that's like, well, play stupid games, win stupid prizes, right? I mean, honest to God, it's so absurd nowadays, that I'm just waiting for whatever ball to drop so that everybody can enter the find out phase collectively. You know what I'm saying? Because there are so many implications. Like, first off, for those of you all that are not familiar with the whole Trump meme coin, right? They've been doing reports on this. So, shortly before inauguration, he released a meme coin that was it wasn't supposed to be considered a legitimate cryptocurrency. It was like a meme coin, so to speak. But what they learned from this was, of the close to almost 800,000 people that invested in it, only about 58 actually received something from it, to the tune of about $250 million. The other 758,000 people lost money. Okay. And Trump is up billions of dollars on this particular coin. And what's been happening is when individuals from other countries want to curry favor with this particular president, what they do is they make this investment in his meme coin. And then all of a sudden they get on the radar of this administration and they get private meetings, right? And so all of this stuff is happening directly right in front of people. Okay. And so the same people that were so up in arms about impropriety, about, draining the swamp, all the January 6 people that were low government and corruption, this, that, and the third, this stuff is happening directly in front of their faces. And it's almost like they twist and turn like origami to create and fabricate new reasons to justify what is clearly absurd. And I mean, and it's to the point where it, honest to God, doesn't even upset me. Well, no, it infuriates me on one level because of the hypocrisy, but it's one of those things where it's like, okay, we all do know where this is going, right? And I think what fascinates me, I saw a clip with Ben Shapiro, who's like a very popular conservative, commentator. And, he has a pretty significant following. And he was actually rather up in arms about this. He was very disgusted at the idea of Trump and the administration accepting this gift. And to his own credit, he even said, man, if this were Biden or anyone on Biden's administration, we would be up in arms and we would literally be losing it. And this is just not something that he should be concentrating on right now, because if he accepts this gift, and no one gives him any pushback, this is going to affect the midterm. We're going to lose Congress. They already have a razor thin margin as it is. We're going to lose Congress. And what's really important is pushing forth this agenda. What is fascinating to me is how genuinely frustrated he appeared, right? It's almost like, what did you all expect? What literally are people expecting? This man is selling bobbleheads on his website right now. He ran a fake university and defrauded tens of thousands of people that were seeking higher education. Like, why does any of this surprise us? This is who this man is. I think the most frustrating thing is the insanity of it all. And I'm talking about insanity by Albert Einstein's definition of doing the exact same thing and expecting different results. What makes you think that you are going to, like, you think that this 79-year-old man just wakes up all of a sudden and decides to start, rallying for the middle class? All of a sudden he gives a shit, right? Like, you guys, this is who you all elected. I thought that's what you wanted. So it's actually fascinating when I start to watch certain people push back, because it's like, wait a minute, you guys, this was a part of it. This is the only reason he wanted to get back in office to begin with, was to enrich himself and to stay out of jail. Like, y'all really didn't think his goal was to make America great again. But, that's neither here nor there. I'm going to go ahead and bring in someone special, because I've got a special guest tonight, because, there's so much to talk about, and I want to make certain that I do justice, because the next topic that we're talking about, I kind of feel like this should not just be a lone man talking about it. So before we jump into that, let me go ahead and invite my special guest, who says she was watching here from Arizona. Casey, welcome. It is a pleasure to see you. You know what I'm saying?
Always lovely to see you.
Absolutely. Do you have anything to drink with you? Do you have
yes.
Okay. Well, cheers.
Cheers.
Hey, let's go ahead and dive in. So before we even dive in, what do you think about the Qatar gift? I mean, is it frustrating? Is it?
I mean, so most of what you said, I agree with. I think you touched a little bit on, like, if Biden, someone had mentioned
Lord
that.
forbid Obama.
But somebody had listed, someone had listed like all these different years of these huge scandals. And it was like, Obama accepts $400 million plane from Qatar. Hillary accepts something about the emails, and then something like it just went through all these presidents, including like Clinton and Bush and a few others. And it was like, if these were the names in this headline, there's no way that we are not turning the country upside down.
Right.
And so it was really interesting to see that perspective. And I think it feels like a constant gaslighting in this country. Gaslighting. Because you see it right in front of you, and they're like, the pundits and all the people are like telling you to your face, that's not what you saw.
Right.
And it is.
And honestly, I think one of the things that upsets me so much is how regular everybody is acting, right? Like, even just as we sit here in my own living room, right? I'm trying not to lose my shit, because I don't want to frighten the individuals that are watching it, to just show how absurd I think this is. I don't understand how people can sit up and report it
like it's regular.
Like it's regular every day. Like, this is not just the most absurd thing, not even remotely.
Well, if we have to like switch out one name, and we'll probably get flagged for this whole thing will be taken down. But like, if you remove Trump's name and put Hitler in it, like, ask yourself if you would be cool with what those headlines are. Like, the way that we just sit back and allow him to do stuff is mind-boggling. And I think that history is going to look back on this time. Y'all just slow walked.
There are going to be a lot of people who have a lot of atoning to do. You know what I mean? And not just politicians, but I'm talking about entire races of people that collectively are acting like this is normal, and that are not up in arms. Like you said, if you just switch out certain names, I mean, even beyond, Hitler, like Obama, like anybody else other than Trump doing these things sends everybody into a tizzy. Yeah. Like, nothing about this is okay. And I think that's what frustrates me, is me knowing that as much as I loved Obama or still do, that there's no way I would have accepted this. There would be no
Right.
justification of this. And when that occurred, even I would be like, okay, yeah, nah, man, this ain't cool. You know what I'm saying? And I think I just get a little frustrated at just the lack of integrity
Mm.
from everybody collectively that is not pushing back about it. Like, this is not Trump derangement syndrome. Like, this is just common decency. And it kind of feels like we're in a day and age now where that's no longer appreciated or honored. You know what I mean?
I don't want to switch the subject too much, but they were talking about like the people that are now protesting,
Mm-hmm.
putting their bodies on the front line. Good job. But and luckily it's not us.
Right.
And stay off of the front lines.
Stay off.
They were getting, or they are getting like permits, and it's like I'm glad that that's why you're not being attacked by police and stuff.
Mm.
But that's also not like disrupting.
And that's also not a protest.
It's
Nigga,
like a marathon.
That's a block party. Are they having block parties and calling them shits protest?
Like they are ready for y'all. You're not disrupting. Like, let us tell you how
they got
to
a little grill out there
you
or
know what I'm
whatever. You know what I'm
Like,
saying? They serving smart water and shit. Okay, you see, stop it. I didn't know that. Okay, see, that just pissed me off, right? Anyway, all right, on to the next topic, and we're gonna pull this straight from the headlines and the shade room. Okay, this is TSR. Cassie details different freak off experiences, denies wanting to be urinated on more while on the stand. Now, I'm going to warn you guys right now, it's about to get graphic, okay? Because this is what is coming out from these court depositions. And if you have not read it yet, like I said, that's one of the reasons why we go late at night, because trigger warnings, okay? So I'm giving you guys a trigger warning now just so that you know some of the stuff that we're about to read. It's wild, okay? But here we go. All right. Cassie testifies that she made money through hosting parties, not her music, but only with Diddy's approval. Diddy allegedly criticized her appearance, saying she looked too Mexican with a particular hairstyle. He preferred her nails white with French tips. Her hairstyles varied, and she mentioned shaving her head in 2009. She testified that Diddy told her to work out and to prepare for the freak offs. When asked, how did you feel about his comments? She replied, it varied. Cassie recalled an incident in which Combs left her during a freak off. Every time I read that, it's never not going to be weird to me, just to be clear, at his Los Angeles home to confront rival records executive Suge Knight at Mills Drive-In, a popular diner nearby. Combs sprang into action after his bodyguard came in and told him of Knight's whereabouts. She explained Combs and the bodyguard, dressed in black clothes, grabbed guns from the safe and loaded into the SUV, she said. I was crying. I was screaming, like, please, don't do anything stupid, Cassie testified. I was really nervous for them. I didn't know what they were going to do. She said it was like I wasn't even there. Cassie said Diddy later returned, but she didn't say if he told her what happened. It's unclear if he ended up seeing Knight at the diner. Okay. Let's see. Turn. Okay. Okay. Yeah, that was just another one. I don't know why they doubled up. Okay. Cassie testified that Diddy paid for things like cars and gave her cash, but would take them away based on his mood. When asked what else he would take away, she answered, my self-confidence. She said staff will also take things away. She also testified that her laptop and phone were taken by security whenever she was being punished and would be kept as long as the punishment lasted. She was in daily contact with Diddy staff. She identified people in the photos as Christina Karam, KK, Miss Fletcher, and D-Rock, who was part of Diddy's security team. Cassie testified that her first freak off occurred in Combs's Los Angeles home at the age of 22 around 2008. She said a male Las Vegas stripper came into the house just months after Combs told her about his interest in voyeurism. Cassie said the freak offs were a very choreographed experience with lots of baby oil. The substance would be heated up, a closed bottle placed in a sink, filled with hot water, and applied liberally because Combs wanted her glistening constantly, she said. She testified Diddy would call her out when she looked dry and ordered her to reapply, sometimes requiring a new coat of baby oil every 5 minutes or so. This just gets more and more bizarre as you go into it. On one occasion, she said a blow up pool of baby oil and lubricants was placed in a hotel room. She said she was told to get inside in her outfit and shoes. She also said close to 10 large sized bottles of baby oil would be used during a freak off. It was such a mess, she said. It was like, what are we doing? An email exchange was shown in court. In the email, Cassie referred to Diddy as Pop Pop. She testified that Diddy asked her what she called her grandfather, and while she went along with it at the time, she now views it as disrespectful. Another message was introduced where Cassie wrote to Diddy that she really needs to blank. When asked why she sent it, she said it was because she wanted to be with him. In a separate message, Diddy asked if she wanted to stop, and Cassie responded by calling herself predictable. The prosecution asked what she believed the message meant. Cassie said she thought he understood that she didn't want to keep doing it, but she pulled back out of fear, adding that her fears stemmed from his past violent behavior. Cassie testified that she responded to escort ads on Craigslist and Backpage while in New York. When asked if she ever contacted escorts on her own, she said no. All right, we're almost finished. In court, when asked when asked by the prosecutor if she wanted to be urinated on, Cassie firmly replied no, calling the experience disgusting and saying she choked due to too much urine in her mouth. No one could think I wanted it, she said. She stated Diddy urinated on her and emphasized, I didn't want anyone to urinate on me. Cassie said it happened often enough. When asked about hotel damages, she identified the Intercontinental in New York as the most expensive, noting it had to redecorate the entire room. Cassie says she took ecstasy and alcohol beforehand and wore a masquerade mask as part of a disguise, as instructed by Combs. Each session lasted until the escort finished, and she recalled at least two such encounters with the first escort. Cassie testified that she couldn't recall all of the freak-offs because there were too many. She said she wanted to stop, describing the experience as humiliating and emotionally overwhelming, breaking down in tears on the stand. Also, she told Combs she didn't want to continue. She approached the topic gently out of fear. She didn't want him to simply replace her with someone else or become angry. So, whew. And that was just one day of testimony, right? And it's one of those situations where it's like, I understand the importance of this, but it was gut wrenching to read. Uh, and it was one of those things where it was like, it's important that it gets out, but how do I put this in a safe way? Like, you almost want to, it's almost like take me out the chat. You know what I mean? It's one of those things where it's like, should I be reading this? You know what I mean? Like, it's one of those type of things where it's like, I understand the importance of getting it out. I understand the importance of court depositions.
Well, it's a RICO charge, so they have to.
Right. But to read it, it was just like,
It's hard. So I have a question for you.
okay.
Because what I was seeing in the comments on any of these stories were, I would say, men and women, primarily men, though, that were basically saying she was an adult, it was consensual, and she could have left at any time. I think what caught me off guard was reading all of those things and not being able to see a few different things. Number one, like when men, or not even men, but typically men that are of that, had that much power, where someone, she was 22, for whatever time period that particular message was from, like the power dynamic and the age difference. Yes, she could walk away. But if you've ever heard any story about any sort of domestic violence victim, sexual assault victim, especially within families and stuff, like, it's not, a lot of times walking away could be dangerous or deadly. And why is that not understood by people. Like, I feel like how could you read that and think this is a thing that she really wanted? Like, she got paid, so if she didn't want it, she could have left.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It's like, how many J-Lo movies do we need to prove to you guys that like that shit's scary?
So you had a question. I want to know what before.
It felt overwhelmingly like men were on the, and I'm not saying that all men feel this way, because a lot of times like sensible men just don't comment on stuff like this.
Right.
But the men in the comments were like overwhelmingly like, she got something out of it. Yeah, it sucks that he like beat her up in the hallway, because you know we have a video of that. Although we're pretending like that's the only time.
Right.
But outside of that, this sound like they're just on some freaky shit. Like, I don't understand how you read that and you think that. Like, and I know that's not how you think, so you may not be able to answer this, but I mean, you know, gather your brethren. Like, I don't.
You know, it's one of those situations where, you know, when everything was happening with R. Kelly, and I could sense this vehement pushback, you know, and an almost refusal to hold him accountable at any given point, you know. Even now, it's always a deflection. It's always, well, what I want to know about is the parents, you know. It's like we are trying to do all of this stuff to hop around so that this one person cannot be seen quite as guilty, right? And I remember, like, way back then, like even before the trial began, you know, I realized that one of the reasons that people have a hard time just acknowledging how heinous some of this behavior is because, one, they either do the same thing, or two, they are aware of the fact that if they were in that position of power, they would be doing the same thing, right? Like, you know, there's always that joke of like, old enough to pee, old enough for me, you know. And I remember, like,
out of control.
And it's out of control, you know. If there's grass on the field, play ball. Like, there's all kinds of like colloquialisms that dudes will say, but it was always tongue in cheek and playful, right? There was never, at least from my understanding, this belief that really was how you felt. Because I remember, like, we talked about this the other day, like, I came up in a period where it was like, people was like, man, make sure you check in AIDs, because there was this concern of girls trying to look older to curry favor with you, only for you to later find out that they were underage, right? Like, because that was what we didn't want. Again, or so I thought. Older. Right. Or so I thought, yeah. Right. But back then it was always like, okay, yeah, getting a woman in their 20s, mid 20s or late 20s, hey, that's young right there. Then all of a sudden it's like everything started to shift. And I don't know if that was the internet, like internet porn, you know what I'm saying? And the reason I say that is because, like, one of the things that is very prominent is like barely legal. Barely legal, right? And to be clear, most of them women are not barely legal. Them women, they're grown as hell, to be clear, okay? You know, and they might still look good, but like the whole idea that barely legal is an enticing thing, right? Like, oh, I don't want them when they're 22. I need them when they're 19. You know, I need them barely legal. Shirt, but you know what I mean? Like, that to me, like, the mentality of that is like, because even from there are a lot of 19-year-olds that look like they damn near in their 30s. The same way you got some black women that's 35 and they look like, girl, let me see your ID, right? So it's not about the look. It's about the power, right? It's about, a chick that's got a little bit of mileage. It's not just about the look, but I think it's more about the power, because if you were just interested in a youthful look, you can find that in a woman that's in her mid to late 20s. You see what I'm saying? When you catching them, as soon as they cross that 18 bar, one, that means that you were probably looking at them beforehand. And two, you wanted first dibs, right? Because in your mind, there was something about, I guess, the purity of them never having experienced this. And then you get to groom them. So without question, it's definitely about grooming. It's definitely, and when I mean it's about power, I mean that. Like control specifically, right? Because how many women are going to allow Diddy to do what he was doing other than a 22-year-old, right? Like, and not saying that it's impossible, but saying that, you know, once a woman get a little bit more experience under her belt, becomes a little bit more confident, you might get a little more pushback. But if you really want them when they're fresh and they're green, then you're gonna get them young, and then I can train you to become the person that I want you to become. And so, I'm like, again, I'm always fascinated by that. But I think that the reason why you get that from people in the comments is because it's the same reason when you see people that are comfortable with Trump's rhetoric, right? If you are comfortable with Trump's rhetoric, to me, that means that on some level, a little bit of that exists inside of you. A little bit of that bigotry exists inside of you. A little bit of that hate exists within inside of you, right? And that's what resonates. So his hate is communicating with your hate, and now we're just having a hate fest. So it's the same way. If I see deviant behavior and I'm comfortable and I'm cool with it on some level, what that means is that the darkness in me understands the darkness in that, right? And so I feel the need to defend it, because my thing is, shut the hell up, right? Like, the fact that y'all are outing yourself, and to your point, I was going to touch on it because we always have a segment called Stay Out of the Comments. Yeah. And so the reason that I picked up and I read those things is because I wanted to show you guys some of the comments that exist in it as of right now, right? Just some of the stuff that I've seen. And to your point, and this was the surprising thing, is that there are, yes, a lot of men, but there were just as many women that was defending it. And I was just like, okay, like one of those like moments, right? So here we go, right? She didn't want to be replaced, ... Case dismissed. Okay, right? May a strength like her husband's never find me. Now that's a little ridiculous. That's a little ridiculous. People go, the girl was groomed, right, and y'all don't see it. So you would get some sensible ones, right? And I always like to see when we got quite a few likes under something that's sensible, because some of these niggas be scaring me, man. This is a woman. Okay, earlier I wanted to support Cassie, but you see, this about Night story, this is clearly to bring Diddy down. Don't add me. This woman is not hurt. She is desperate to tear this man down for not settling with her. Like I said, I need J-Lo, Carisha, and other exes to share the same story. Until then, I'm not believing any of it. Or maybe it's too early. You know what I mean? Like, when you start seeing stuff like that, it's just like, okay, what are we talking about?
So one of them is dead. So that's one ex that we'll never hear from. And
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to laugh, but just
I can promise you, she got stories. And there are rumors of stories. Like, if you think that Kim was just having his babies because she was just so happy while he was in relationships with other women, I can promise you that's not what the case was. Right. Like, J-Lo can't speak because there was some shit going down while she was dating him. And then Carisha, I think, no, let me not speculate, because I don't want to make assumptions or accuse anyone of anything that's not proven. But
at the same time,
we need to believe
but at the same time, it's also one of those things where it's like, because just like, I've had some guys that's in the, the trenches, they in the streets deep, and they may have a main girl, right? And even though these guys is in the streets, they take care of their main girl, right? They try to keep it away from her. But it's like, dude, over a period of time, and with as deep as you are in the game, there's no way that she has not brushed past something or seen something, right? Like, to me, there's always a willful ignorance in certain situations where it's almost like you saw something, but you knew that it was easier to just kind of keep your mouth shut and play the, well, I don't see nothing, because you're benefiting from it. But you saw a lot, like, because I don't think that the nigga's that good with hiding one hand from it, because nigga, I know he's doing this shit. So how are you sleeping with the man and you don't know he's doing this shit? I've been known he's done this shit. I've heard people tell stories firsthand of, so if I'm getting it and you're living with the guy for a couple of years and y'all going on trips, you ain't seen none of this deviant behavior.
And it's different if it's like a mob boss that nobody knows and you just met him pretending to be, a regular dude,
right?
And they just kind of shielded you from it. Like, we all know. We all know him.
The story's been out here, and we also know he probably went both ways too. Like, dude, like this shit's been out here. You know what I'm saying?
It was never a secret.
It's never a secret. Y'all so focused on the freak offs. Like, that's not what this case is really about. It's not. She's on the stand in a federal RICO trial, not for clout, not for headlines, but because there's a documented pattern of abuse, manipulation, and control. She was the girlfriend, yes, but more witnesses are coming. This isn't about what she allowed. It's about what he orchestrated and got away for years and got away with for years. Emotional manipulation, sexual grooming, career intimidation and manipulation, domestic violence, and sexual violence is all I hear. May Cassie find her true healing and peace now that this chapter is closed. I'm sorry. Am I the only person that's hearing a bunch of consensual activity taking place here? Sounds very 50 Shades of Weird, but still, the only crime here is the drugs and the baby oil. Just my point of view. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
God forbid any of y'all have daughters, right? With the way y'all making it seem like she's not a victim, even though she was groomed. Right? You see, they all over the place. Here we go. These comments are disturbing and disgusting. I was like, finally, someone is her saying she didn't want to be replaced says everything about the fact that this woman was manipulated, used, and humiliated to the point that she thought that those encounters was right, and there is where she needed to be. Y'all use the word grooming without even knowing the meaning. This is what grooming is. Those are the words of a victim. For her to be a mother and a wife and even have to relive these situations must be hard. I agree with that. Her saying she didn't want him to replace her sealed the deal. Puff getting off being a freak isn't a crime. You see, like it's like, listen, man.
I guess I don't understand the for clout thing.
Right.
It feels like she got paid a shit ton of money already.
Right.
Like, what benefit would it be for her unless she wanted to get back at him for beating her? I mean,
a movie is coming out, and she may be able to get something off of that, but none of that has anything to do with anything, right? Like it's just one of those situations where it's like, damn, like now that it's beginning, and look, like somebody said, they are lucky this is a federal case, because if it was not, they'd had the cameras up in there. And I ain't gonna lie, I did not watch the OJ trial. I don't watch none of them trials. I don't be up into that type of stuff.
Yeah.
I think I might mess around. I would probably
Did you see a picture of it? His hair's all gray.
Oh, word. Oh, he's stressing. Oh, well, no. Well, it ain't about him stressing. He ain't got his,
But
he ain't got the treatment.
So how much you want to bet if he gets convicted, he gets pardoned by the president? You put some money on it? Like, he would then appeal to a specific segment.
Well, he might have footage of some of these people are caught in some of them tapes of the free calls. Yes. And that they didn't sequester all of them. He got backup somewhere in the cloud, somewhere that don't be surprised if he gets pardoned or if something occurs, because there's some damaging information and it's already been known. I saw what y'all did to Epstein. Right. If it happens to me, all of these tapes get leaked. So he like, look, y'all can assassinate my character all y'all want to, but as soon as he gets pardoned, he's going to go to Cambodia or wherever.
He gonna be over there with Russell.
Well, Russell, that's he gonna be
Bali just meditating and shit on him.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, then, like I said, it's serious business about it. Like it's an unfortunate situation. It's one that we knew was coming for a while. I think that one of the most difficult things about it, to even what you just said, is how these moments we don't just watch. It brings out the worst in us sometimes, right? In terms of, like I said, going into the comment section, and then even just having interactions with people who you once respected. It's like we used to be in a day and age where how you felt about sensitive things wasn't common knowledge. So you didn't know that your cousin was crazy until you all just had that random conversation at Thanksgiving. And luckily you only got to see him once a year. But when you follow someone on social media, it's like, and they happen to be the vocal type, I get the unfortunate pleasure of being subjected to all your random musings. And now I get to really dislike you for some valid reasons because you're just a genuinely shitty person. You know what I'm saying? And it's just like, damn, bro, like, I really wish you hadn't said that. Like, I mean, it's like one of my favorite authors, that wrote one of the best books that I've ever read. It's like he's just been on this wild, super conservative kick. And it's like, bro, are you the same dude that wrote the 13 Laws of Life and shit? Because everything that you on right now is very opposite of what was in that book that felt very uplifting. And now you're on some old, you know, I remember that time it was like a plus size model, and he was just like, not attractive. I don't know why they're trying to put, like, nigga, are you saying, first off, I think she kind of fine. So speak for yourself, okay? Like, it's like,
You gonna tell him who you talking about?
Jordan Peterson. You know, where it's just like, bro, like, okay,
Yeah.
you know,
She was very pretty.
yeah, nigga, you know what
Just
I'm
because
saying?
you don't like her doesn't mean she was not attractive.
And trying to feel like, oh, they're pushing this woke. Nigga, that ain't woke, she fake. And I apologize that your frail old Canadian ass don't, you know what I mean? It was just like, who are you speaking for? Anyway, let me stop. And sometimes in those moments you say to yourself, yeah, I wish I didn't know that about you. I wish you just shut the hell up and I could have just honored you from afar and downloaded your lectures. But now I get burdened with knowing, oh wow, you're actually a shitty dude. And I know sometimes people, I know right. And you know, you hate to be someone, because I'm not someone that says I gotta agree with everything that you think, right? But when people take these hard stances, you know, on ridiculous shit, it's just like, bro, what do we, you know, kind of like one of the things I was gonna talk about. Hold on, matter of fact, to just do it. Did I actually pull it up? Yeah. Let's go ahead and move into this one. Kanye West, Hail Hitler, a new low in shock culture. Okay. On May 28th, I know, right? 2025, Kanye West, now legally known as Ye, released his song Hail Hitler, marking a disturbing escalation in his pattern of anti-Semitic behavior. The track, the part of his upcoming album, Cuck, was unveiled on the eve of V-Day, the anniversary of Nazi Germany's surrender in World War II, further intensifying its provocative nature. So, you know, from the content and the imagery, lyrics and themes, the song features a repeated chant, all my niggas Nazis, nah, Hail Hitler, and concludes with audio from a 1936 Adolf Hitler speech. The music video, which I didn't even know existed, the accompanying video depicts Black men in militaristic formations, draped in animal skins, performing Nazi salutes. This juxtaposition of African American imagery with Nazi symbolism has been widely condemned as both offensive and confusing. Right? So there's been major streaming platforms, including Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube, and SoundCloud, that swiftly removed the song, citing violations of hate speech. However, despite these removals, a song gained over 8.2 million views on X, right? Where it remains accessible. Users have also circumvented platform bans by reposting the track in various formats, such as embedding it within podcasts and altering its presentation, complicating moderation efforts. So, art or hate speech, Casey? I mean, what do we?
It's stupid. It's like I want to be outraged, and I may have been outraged a few years ago, but like the outrage marketing tool that kind of started to use or has been using for several years now, like it's just wearing off.
Mm-hmm.
Like, have you seen it's a like a gift that it's like, God, like I'm trying to remember who does it. But anyway, it's like every time he's like a gnat. Like, just boy, we're not impressed. Like, I know you're trying to be more and more sensational because you want us to hate you. Like, that's the only attention you can get now. But I think that like us ignoring him is working. And I feel like we should make it like a very intentional effort, because all he wants is attention. Like, that's literally all he wants. I think every time he does something wild, it is to market something new. He has nothing to say when he's not marketing something. And I don't know how we haven't figured that out yet.
Right. And what's unfortunate about this one
is super sad
is that in the past, the antics were always accompanied by hot ass music, right? So he'd do something, get all the attention to this project that was legitimately fire. And then you just like, oh, you know, and before when the antics were, you know, oh, George Bush doesn't like black people, it was all like, yeah. All right, and then you did the thing to Taylor Swift. It's like, okay, I like Beyonce, but that was a little dickish, It kind of made me want to pull it back, And just as it escalated, you was like, ugh. And then that album might start juking, and you're like, all right, man, I'm, whatever. That's Kanye being Kanye. But now the art is legitimately trash, and so it's like, bro, like so all of this is tanking, huh? Like your techniques are tanking, and your art is tanking. Because I heard that song, right? Like, or at least yeah, and I heard it for something I want to share with you because I don't think you know about this, just to show you just how bizarre of a place that we're in. And so the beat itself isn't bad, right? But it's like it's trying to make an aspirational song. No. My nigga, and I'm just sitting here like, yo, so
immediately no.
So this white couple that look like kombucha farmers or something, that look like them people that look like two total hipsters. But the woman's got like some tats over here. The dude got a little hat on or whatever. They are from, I think, Minnesota.
Is the video?
No.
Oh.
But it was the man's birthday. Their husband and wife. It was the husband's birthday. And they were going somewhere, and so she pulls out her phone and starts recording and doing the little the symbol while they was listening, like driving on the like. And so when she claims they're listening to this song, right? But apparently it went viral. Okay. What they claimed was that this was supposed to stay on their internal chat or whatever, but it's gotten out there. And why is it that now they've got one of those GoFundMe, not GoFundMe, but one of those give whatever trying to get some money because the racist GoFundMe, because now they're trying to get money to help them relocate because they're getting death threats. And so I was like, oh shit, y'all grifting. Y'all doing the same thing. So y'all saw what that woman who called that little kid the N-word, the autistic kid. I know hopefully you've all heard about this, but it's because you saw her raise close to 700K. Y'all like, one of y'all probably got laid off and probably said to yourself, oh snap. So that's all we got to do?
Do some racist
shit. And we grift.
Say we're being threatened.
Money and these clowns. I'm like, it's everything a grift nowadays. Yes. Everything is a grift. Yeah. Everything is a grift. It's almost like when I'm like, I literally made a post yesterday where I was like, we need to normalize not responding to accounts that don't have profile pictures. Or if it's a profile picture of something abstract. No, Casey, I see people having full-on passionate debates with Russian bots. I'm just like, that's not even a real person. And if it is, it's a fat old dude sitting in that's probably getting paid off of engagement. Like, we have to understand that people are grifting so hard because attention is being compensating. It's compensating now, right? Like in a way, like to the point where they have so many influencer programs now that like they were sending me stuff on my personal Facebook account, and I don't even really post like that. Why are you all sending me the opportunity to earn money? And I'm not even posting like that on my personal account, right? Because they're attempting to incentivize me to start posting more.
To engage people
because people ain't using the platform, and they need us engaged in the platform so that they can sell advertising, right? And so it's almost like okay, well, once you start doing it, I start noticing that everybody starts taking very staunch, absurd stances on things. And it's like, that ain't even really who you are or whatever. You know what I'm saying? You're doing it to get money. But here's the unfortunate reality about that is the more you do shit like that, eventually it does become you. Like if you act like a thug nonstop for a couple of years, eventually you start to believe you a thug. Eventually you start pushing people. You start doing bully type shit. Like it started as a grip. It started as that's just a little an act I'm playing. Right. But the more invested you become in this character, the lines become blurred between the real you and what you're doing for money, right? And the more that you do that, you look up and it's like, okay, Like now I really, again, now I feel like being on some Goonie shit. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, all right, y'all, this is dangerous. Oh, we got Ursuline pulled up. What's going on, Ursuline? So yeah, okay. So now this next section, it's kind of interesting. What do you know about David Hogg?
David Hogg was the kid. I want to say I know he was in a school shooting.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, what school was it? Parkland.
Yes.
Parkland school shooting.
Mm-hmm.
A survivor, and he rose to prominence, really pushing back against gun violence and just, the not the Second Amendment specifically, but just how the gun lobby has really owned the country. He was recently elected, I think, as the vice president of the DNC.
Mm-hmm. Vice chair
Mm-hmm. For the DNC. And I think it's being challenged right now. But but I know he's on Bill Maher saying things that.
Are we gonna get to that? But kudos on knowing stuff. I'm telling you, man, you like woke, baby.
I am way too informed. I am stressed out every day.
And that's probably why. I
just want to not know.
So I'm gonna go ahead and read what from the information that I pulled. Okay. It says David Hogg, a prominent gun control activist in Parkland. I appreciate that you knew that. A shooting survivor is currently embroiled in a significant controversy with the Democratic National Committee, where he serves as vice chair. On May 12, 2025, the DNC's Credential Committee voted to void Hogg's February election as vice chair, citing procedural violations related to gender balance requirements in party leadership elections. The decision also affected Pennsylvania State Representative Malcolm Kenyatta. Both will remain in their positions until the full DNC votes on the matter later this year. Hogg's initiative to allocate $20 million through his PAC, Leaders We Deserve, to support primary challenges against incumbent Democrats has sparked internal party tensions. DNC Chair Ken Martin criticized this move, emphasizing the importance of neutrality among party officers during primaries. Martin even issued an ultimatum for Hogg to pledge neutrality or resign. In a recent appearance on The Real Time with Bill Maher, he argued that the Democratic Party has alienated young men, and we'll get into that in a moment, right? What's actually interesting about this, because he's been trending, and not just because of this clip that we're about to see from Bill Maher, but he's been trending because of the fact that not only has he taken this staunch stance that the DNC is attempting to kind of oust him because he's this young upstart with these fresh ideas and he's gaining too much momentum and he's upsetting the party's brass, right? But what's been fascinating, and I don't know if you know about this, so this Kenyatta gentleman, are you familiar with him?
I've heard of him, but I have not gotten a chance to dive
into how he's so Malcolm Kenyatta actually, so in order to become a vice chair, from what I understand, it's like 1,000 votes or whatever. You have to get like, I think, over 201.5 or something weird like that. Once you cross 201, you become one, right? I want to say David Hogg got like 210. Well, Kenyatta got like 270, 280 or something like that. So significantly above him. But the media has been running with this whole narrative as if David is the only one that's been challenged, right? Nobody's even paying attention to my man Malcolm, right? Who is a brother, who's also outspoken, who's also been like in the trenches. He's like 35, and just very progressive, And so it's been fascinating to watch people, because they want to crown David Hogg as like this media darling. And we understand like his circumstances. He's been kind of on the uprise for a while. And, he does hold some very progressive views. And so, we've been a fan. But it is fascinating to watch how media will zero in and turn it into like the establishment against David Hogg without acknowledging that there's a black guy that got significantly more votes to him that also has to go through one of these elections because of this particular rule, right? So is it not fair to the brother also? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
You know, and so that is so what I'm starting to see, especially on threads, the infighting that's occurring is because people are challenging that, where they're basically saying like, okay, more or less the sentiment is, see, this that bullshit that y'all be on, and why a lot of people don't rock with y'all because of how you all pick and choose who you all want to support. And you all are clearly overlooking this other person that's gotten more votes and it's also in the trenches. But I guess because he doesn't fit a certain, you know, aesthetic, you all aren't, you know, as keyed in. So I've been kind of keyed into this because I've been, and even challenging a few people, because I'm like, it's funny how you just automatically made him a darling, and y'all just totally skip over Malcolm. Like, even if they give him props, they kind of do it as like some kind of, yeah. But he's really progressive. And I'm like, oh, well, how did you feel about his comments on Bill Maher? And I got this dude trying to go back and forth with me because he feels like I'm being obtuse. And I'm like, well, I mean, he said what he said. And for those of you all that didn't know what he said, I've got it right here for you. So let's go ahead and take a look.
See someone your age talking politics, it's usually a Republican guy. I mean, that seems to be where all the energy and and we know that the Democrats do have a problem with men.
Yes.
What are you going to do about that?
Well, I think, one, it's for us to acknowledge the fact that a lot of younger men, I think, agree with what Democrats are saying in terms of making sure that we're getting things cheaper, that nobody wants to pay incredibly high costs for their medical bills or their cost of care, right? Nobody wants to see, in my opinion, nobody wants to see members of Congress that are doing insider trading either. At least I certainly don't. And that goes for both Democrats and Republicans. And right now, what I think happened last election is younger men, they would rather vote for somebody who even if they don't completely agree with, they don't feel judged by, than somebody who they do agree with, that they feel like they have to walk on eggshells around constantly because they're going to be judged or ostracized or excommunicated. And what's interesting about this moment is it feels like the two parties in some senses have flipped, where, you know, Republicans used to be the judgmental assholes in many ways. And since many Democrats, despite us, I would say for most of us coming from the right place of wanting to do the right thing, we've created a culture where we say, well, if you say the wrong thing, you're excommunicated. And that's just not how human beings work. Nobody is perfect, but ultimately what we have to do here is figure out how to bring people back in and work towards the bigger goal of advancing the future of this country and helping young people especially get by so that they're able to focus on their lives and, you know, getting with a young woman or something like that, instead of how are they going to pay their rent, for example, or how are they working their two jobs. Young people should be able to focus on what young people should be focused on, which is how to get laid and how to go and have fun. Rather,
David Hogg for president, ladies and gentlemen. Great to see you. We'll see you back here, I'm sure, very soon.
What do you think about that, Casey? That people need to be focused on how to get laid. Okay. Yeah. You know, part of the problem is that, you know, dudes ain't getting enough ass out here is really what.
Okay, I'm gonna say this. And
okay, bars a little
right.
bit.
I was gonna say it might
kind
be
of the problem. You know what I'm saying?
but I think he's not wrong about.
He's not.
Y'all need to get. It's way too many podcast dudes that need some affection. I'm being very politically correct here. Like y'all desperately need a lady in your life, okay? Because or just ban podcast equipment, like not yours.
That's so silly.
But
you said not mine.
Like pick on you. But yeah, like if you think that like that, I think it's really intense privilege to say, like, we need to stop focusing on these issues and help young white men get laid.
Listen, like, it's kind of forgive my French, but fucking ridiculous, right? It's like ridiculous. To even feel, and I'm gonna tell you why. And I haven't even seen this dude that was going hard in the paint for him, his response because he tried to make it seem like I was being intentionally obtuse and this, that, and the third. When I said that, well, really what he was saying was this, and I was like, listen, the same way that I thought that you were being kind of like nonchalant as it relates to what Malcolm Kenyatta, his stuff was. I also took this very real comment of what David Hogg said in the concern of what we've seen with white men when they attempt to appease the manosphere. Like they get into this bro code space where it's like, and let's be honest, the dude is like in his early to mid 20s, right? I don't give a damn how progressive he is. I know on some level that at that point he's being ruled by his hormones, right? And I'm not saying like completely, but the fact that you feel the need to even vocalize this, and the fact that this now seems to be this new party initiative of how are we going to get, underprivileged, uneducated white men to join our movement. And it's like, if the only way to get them to come on board is to start tap dancing and like forgetting everything that we stand for, fuck them. Fuck them. And real talk. And what I mean by that, because, well, y'all not going to win in 2028, then fine. Then let's all continue to go to hell together. Because whether or not y'all realize it, these Republicans are not batting for you. Like, you all are so concerned about trans people fighting in sports and shit like that, like things that only or the military, like you all are so concerned about things that don't affect your bottom line that it's like the only way that they're going to grow is if they suffer enough pain to as they elevate their frame of thinking to stop caring about shit that does not matter to you. You know what I'm saying? Because if we're being honest, like what I want to know is, it's almost like they think that woke culture is what's stopping them from getting ass. Like that if Trump allows everybody to just say the N-word openly and we could just do whatever it is that we want to do, that all of a sudden now women are like, you know what? I wasn't gonna give you some ass a couple of years ago when Biden was in office. But you know what? Being a dick is kind of sexy now. Like, no, right. Like if women are evolving and you're not evolving with them, then the issue of why you're not getting ass, bro, is because you won't evolve. It's not the system. The system ain't never stopped me from getting ass. And that's the problem with these young kids nowadays. I'm gonna tell you what the problem with these young kids are. It's this bullshit right here. Hold on. I just need y'all to see this next thing. Hold on. Is that what it is? Oh, okay. I guess I didn't set it up. See, I thought I set it up, but hold on. Look at this foolishness right here.
Well, his nickname's Tampon. No real man has a nickname like that. Well, that's what it is. I'm sorry. I didn't make it up. He wants them in boys' bathrooms. Real men don't talk about how they can beat other guys up. They don't talk about how masculine they are. Maybe if you're a professional fighter, you can do that, but I don't know people that do that, and I know a lot of tough guys. Like this guy, Greg Gutfeld. I have rules for men. They're just funny. They're not that serious. Like you don't eat soup in public. You don't cross your legs. And you don't drink from a straw. And one of the reasons you don't drink from a straw is because the way your lips purse. It's very effeminate. And his excuse was, well, I was drinking a milkshake. Again, you shouldn't be drinking a milkshake. Milkshakes are for kids.
Yes. Delicious.
Now,
literally, that's the problem right there to me, right? When you have to be that person, right? When you have to be that person where you say to yourself, don't cross your legs in public. Why is anybody taking cues from him? That's why y'all not getting ass, because that's who you decide to listen to. Because y'all listening to Joe Rogan, because you're listening to dudes that you can look at and tell them do. First off, look at how they wives look, or look at how they girls look. Like, what about them says swagger? Like, I remember growing up, if we were going to look up to somebody, it was like a Zach Morrison or Theo or, somebody that defines, it was clear who the cool guys were. Right. That's the cool guy right now. They had leather jackets, right? And cowboy boots. You know what I'm saying? Like, we knew. Nowadays, that's who y'all taking y'all cues from. The Rush Limbaughs are the ones that y'all taking cues from. Everybody's angry, trying to figure out why y'all can't get no ass. Bro, sit down. I promise you, I will give you an affordable consulting rate. I can give you a pinpoint, agenda of why you not getting asked and what we need to do to correct it. And I'm not even joking. I would literally do that. If one of y'all out there that's watching this is not getting asked, hire me, because I can tell you, because I guarantee you it's not a big secret. And won't nobody tell you because they don't want to hurt your feelings. You probably need to go to a conscientious, objective observer. I will be able to look at you and tell you, oh, let me tell you why. Oh, no, ain't got nothing to do with your job. It ain't got to do with 50-50 neither, nigga. Like, it ain't got nothing to do with what you look like. Bro, you ain't got no personality, dog. You ain't got no swag, dog. Like, you all are literally taking cues from these dudes where the only reason that they get asked is because they're rich. You know what I'm saying? It's like, and sometimes, man, like I said, man, like it hurts my heart because I feel like, man, I should have done more. My homies should have done more. Like the cats that I'm connected to, we should have done more, because I don't think that we acknowledge that there was an entire, not only generation, but like group of individuals who were lost and who were seeking counsel. But if nothing exists in the way of giving people tutelage, and then the primary voices are, okay, so even before the podcast guys, because I think before the podcast guys, women have always had a bigger bullhorn than men in terms of, if you look at daytime talk shows, or magazines, there was always something that was telling women how to act, what to think, what's appropriate, the whole nine. You didn't really have many male voices that were standing in saying, well, this is what we should be on, right? So inside of that vacuum, I think that a lot of people were just taking cues off of, well, this is what they say you got to do for women and the whole nine, and enough information or knowledge was not being disseminated to whereas the next group of individuals coming up felt some degree of like comfort in knowing, oh, okay, well, this is how you got to operate or whatever. And so it created a void. And some people saw that there was a void and they started capitalizing and they started sharing information that was really,
I can only speak for our community because that's the one that I'm most invested in. Forgive me, I'm dealing with some allergies.
That's fine.
But it feels like, how much do you believe in like a concerted effort of this sort of thing? Because, we talk about how the crack epidemic was obviously very specifically injected into our communities. Whereas like during the 90s, because I actually just started listening to the new Living Single podcast with Kim Coles and Erica Alexander Sinclair and Max. And they just started talking about how like during that time period, they like ruled the airwaves, not just them, but like Black shows that was highlighting like positive Black people. You had, the Cosby Show, you had Fresh Prince, you had Martin, you had all these things of just working class Black people. It wasn't just, the negative stereotypes about us. So it was a very specific time period where they were seeing us in a very human way. And then all of it got snatched down. Like at a point, because at one point we owned like, or not owned, but like we were not controlling, but I think it was UPN. A lot of those shows.
Oh yeah, we damn near own that.
Yeah,
that network,
like
man.
TGIF, like we had all.
They say UPN is standing for you po niggas. And WB was We Black, We Black Network. That's all they was doing, man. They was like, yo,
it's true,
we need some Black people on this pot. Okay.
But then after that, like it was really like full of drama. Because even during then we had New York Undercover.
Right.
We had shows like that. And then all of a sudden it was these reality shows and like just things that it did not portray the Black family or even working class Black people. It was always, drug culture or gang culture or whatever. And they really leaned into it. And so I guess I just wonder like how much of that, and it sucks that like TV has to shape, whatever it is that we become. But when our families were ripped apart, sometimes all people are being raised by is their TV. I remember being a latchkey kid. Like my mom was working multiple jobs and I was just watching TV.
Right.
And so what I saw depicted is what I aspired to. Like I wanted to be Claire Huxtable. I wanted to go to Hillman.
Right.
You know, all the things. And then, you know.
How disappointed were you when you found out Hillman wasn't even a real place?
It is a real place. Don't talk to me.
On TikTok it is.
Right. But it was like elevating HBCUs, like on Living Single, you would see them in sweatshirts with all these different family, all the things. And all that went away.
Yeah.
And who controls the studios? You know, I ain't no conspiracy theorist.
No, I mean, you know, and you don't have to be, right? And that is one of the things that is frustrating, because that goes back to the conversation of, does life imitate art or art imitate life? Yeah. And I think that the solution or the answer that we've come to is that it's a little bit of both. Yeah. You know, that sometimes one does the other, right? When you think about blaxploitation movies that were heavy during the 70s, everybody wanted to be a pimp. If Iceberg Slim was your, you know, your idol, then you walking up the chicks trying to be smooth, you know what I mean? But then when you come into the 80s, when the content shifted, all right, and especially when hip hop came, you know, the early stages of hip hop was very pro-Black. It was very, you know, not militant, but just very like action, you know, Public Enemy, you know, had it's like a jungle sometimes. It make me wonder how you keep from going like, yo, Curtis Blow, your Tribe Called Quest, African Bambaataa, like you had Queen Latifah, you know what I'm saying? Like everybody was spitting, and it really was about some consciousness, you know. And it's like the moment that it shifted and it took a left, it's like collectively as a society, we never look back. And what is unfortunate is, to your point, when you say, you know, you don't want to turn it into a conspiracy, but at the same time, you have to acknowledge that Tribe Called Quest went multiple times platinum several times, right? Several of these groups, Farside, you know, I mean, I can go on and on, went multiple platinums. There was clearly a concerted effort to only invest in a certain type of music, to only say that if you didn't fit this narrative, we're not going to take a chance on you. Like there had to be executives that claim that the research showed that they want people that sound more like Eazy-E. And it's like, do they really? Or is that the only thing? Or is that how you see us? And because that's how you see us, you know, it's almost like Boomerang, like them not believing that Boomerang was a realistic story, and how hard Eddie Murphy and the studio had to push to get them to release this, because in their mind, because that's not their Black experience, they don't think that that's a real story. It seems fictitious, right? Meanwhile, Heathcliff Huxtable out here killing the ratings for 5-6 years in a row. And it's like, at what point do y'all realize, nigga, we great too. We got money too. Like you know what I'm saying? But it's like, if they choose to not invest in that, that's because of their bigotry. That's because of their own, you know, preconceived notions of who we are, and their unwillingness to present us in another light. Now we're in a different space where we've got YouTube, we've all got our own cameras, we've all got our own platforms. And now it's like, it's funny though, because it's still the same, because the algorithm dictates what it wants to push, right? And it's like, who's controlling the algorithm? Because y'all make this shit seem like it's faceless, but it ain't faceless. No. It ain't faceless. Because one of the things that, and matter of fact, you even sent me a clip about that, and more people are starting to notice this collectively, that when people are speaking about positive or pro-Black or actionable stuff, all of a sudden we're being suppressed. All of a sudden, our audience, it's not getting any traction. Oh, but let us kick up some bullshit. Let it be a fight. Oh, now all of a sudden, oh man, it's flying all over the place, even before the comments start to come in. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, because there are times we'll post something and I can tell by the number of likes and the number of comments, even just off of the first 1,000 views, I'm like, oh, this shit should be juking. Because if it got that level of engagement with 1,000 views, if they opened it up to 10,000, it would, you know what I mean? there's a reason why the algorithm didn't deem that as viral worthy. You see what I'm saying? Let me get some conflict up in there. Let me
show it to our audience. Like,
show it to the audience that we've already built, that we've already invested in, that we've already spent money on running ads to curate, right? Like, yeah, it's unfortunate. So it's to the point now where it's like, okay, we can get our message out there, but now we have to rely on the community being proactive in literally going to our page or going to our platform to be able to connect with us, because the platform rules the news feed. They get to choose what they want to show you. You know what I'm saying? And they're only going to show you things that keep you engaged. I think our content makes people feel good. You know what I'm saying? And they don't like that shit, because the things that get you so frustrated where you like, man, I gotta, like, that's the shit that they know is going to keep you on the platform, you know. And it's not even saying that our stuff won't engage people, but it's just unfortunate to know that even though we're in a space now where more voices can enter the fray, we're still fighting the same battle of like, okay, yeah, I can put the message out there, but how do I actually get it seen? How do I actually get it heard? And the only way to do it is to follow that Kanye absurdity model, which everybody has already adopted. That's the only reason why his shit ain't popping off no more. Is because now everybody's Kanye. The only way to get your content seen is to be Kanye. Yeah. And when you got a million little Kanyes running around out here, it's like, okay, you know. Anywho, all right, here you go. Hold on, I got something for you, because
first of all, I want to start this off by saying, whoever made this sculpture, I want to salute you for acknowledging Black women. And before I get deeper off into this, I salute Black women every day by being married to one. Now, with that being said, who in the fuck is this? Who is this? Who is this? Did y'all sit down with a panel of sisters or something? Did anybody talk to anybody before you just put a 12-foot statue of a Black woman in Times Square? And why does this get, sisters are beautiful. Why a big back bitch gotta represent all Black women? Who did this shit? Do not come on my page. And if you come on my page, I'm like, you don't like Black, I'm gonna block your stupid ass. We have beautiful sisters that are in shape, all this shit. Meanwhile, it's a white woman called the Statue of Liberty. She's fit, she's pretty. She not up on the in the fucking harbor with a big back, looking like she got a bunch of problems. But shit, is this the representation of what y'all see when y'all see a Black woman? So every Black woman look like a bitch worked down at the government office in 2025. Is this where we at? I mean, I'm guessing y'all are gonna erect a 12-foot statue of a street nigga next. I mean, could anybody I just want to know why? Why? Who in the fuck is this? Who is this? I could even understand if this woman, I don't know, did something like help the community in some kind of way. But it looked like she is literally out there looking for her baby daddy or some shit. This is real. And this is not a good representation of the sisters that I know, of the Black women that I know. And it's also some low self-esteem type shit. Like, you know what I mean? It's sisters in shape, got their shit together, money right. And they gonna walk by this goddamn statue in Times Square like, what, this supposed to be me? So white people, is this how y'all see Black women? As fucking mamies? Why y'all ain't just put Hattie McDaniel out there in the middle of Times Square? I could understand it because we know who Hattie McDaniel is. She broke records. But a fucking 2025 mamie, I'm going to say it again, a 2020, that looks like a fucking mamie who got all the asses and shit. She's slick, she's sassy, she's the big Black woman. What the fuck, man? Call me.
It's out of control.
It's out of control, man. And so, you know, shout out to Lamar. Because I mean, you know, I have been seeing that pictures of that statue circulate. You know what I'm saying? And I ain't gonna lie, I thought it was like 50 feet when I first saw it, because every time I would see it, they always had it where they had it up close, and then everybody else was them, so it looked like it was towering over everybody. And then turns out it's a 12-foot statue, so it's got some height to it. But what are your thoughts on it? Because I did a little research, but I kind of want to get your thoughts on it. What you thinking about that? What's popping?
I mean, so I guess I rarely see anything that I feel like represents me as a Black woman specifically, because I don't fit the very specific like archetype. Like, even if we're not focused on that particular statue, it's oftentimes a thicker woman. So I've never felt like I identified in a lot of those things. I think though that sometimes Black women push back against like certain portrayals of us, either the mammy, but then also the superhero. Like, why can't we ever just be regular? Or why can't we ever just be, just regular? And there is some, like, everybody else gets to be a regular version of themselves. We either have to be perfect Black girl magic, Beyonce, or strung out, or the servant, or the maid, or like, it's never just we work a 9 to 5, we make 6 figures, or we may make 80, 90,000, and we come home and we have a dog, and we just live a very mundane existence, and it's great. Like, we go to brunch with our girls and we don't bother nobody. Like, that image is never allowed for us. And so I think I don't know what this artist was trying to portray, whoever created the statue. I imagine the point wasn't to put it online and for people to attack the hypothetical woman in this way. And it may be an actual woman. So I'm hoping that if she is alive and can see this, that she's not feeling, uncomfortable about the feedback. But if it's an artist who created this for a very specific reason, I wonder if that was the direction.
Okay. Because I remember, when I first saw it, I did have questions. And we even engaged in the conversation about it.
Y'all just don't like her outfit. I don't like it either. But that,
I mean, okay. And so I think that what caught me, and I was still trying to assess how I felt about it, right? Because, statues serve a couple of purposes. They either commemorate something, they generally celebrate something, you know what I'm saying? They recognize something. And, what was fascinating was seeing some of the comments about that. And I think what I was looking for was, I was specifically looking to see how Black women felt about it. And even specifically how some Black women with that particular body type felt about it, right? Did they feel empowered when they saw it? Or did they feel like it was mocking them? Because I do understand the celebration of something that is real, that's legitimate, that's authentic. Or even if not the celebration, the acknowledgement of something, that are those things. But it's such a fine line, right? Because, when you think about statues, even just from back in the day, they always took liberties to make them seem more pristine. Like, I'm pretty certain that the statue of David, even though they didn't, they kind of cut him short in his junk area, because they had him completely flaccid. And if it was me, I'm like, hey, nigga, man, can you, baby, can you put some more marble on the end of that? Like, man, you got me looking a little bit like that's going up in the museum, and you just gonna have me with the floppy joint, like with the shrinkage, like
men care about better things.
I'd have been flapping my joint up, like, wait a minute, hold on. Is that what you do? Hold on one second, man. Hold on. All right. Get it now. Hurry up. Get it now. And I mean, I know they've been chiseling for a moment and shit, but it was like, yo, no, man, you ain't gonna have me out there looking bogus, man. I need my joint to look impressive if it's gonna be in a statue, you know. But they always had them chiseled, looking fit. You know, that was the thing that they would do. Not saying that they had to take such dramatic liberties with her where they gave her unrealistic body expectations, you know, because I also understand that. And so that's why I was like, I don't 100% know how to feel about it, because one of the comments that someone made was, they was like, well, you know, the majority of Black women are like the average. I think this is the average medium weight and height is like 5'3", 190 pounds or something like that. It was somewhere in that vicinity. I was like, shit. Okay, I didn't know that was like average. And if that's average, if that's where the majority sit, then am I being unfair, you know, in saying that, oh, well, they should have made it look like this? Well, everybody don't look like Beyonce. Everybody don't like Carrie Hilson.
No,
like, so
most.
You putting that up there, that might be more insulting, because now you're telling everyday women that is what you should aspire to, regardless of your body type. And so, you know, it's a dicey area, you know. But I think if she was somebody that had done some shit, then we would get, you know, ain't nobody expecting a statue of, you know, Harriet Tubman to turn me on. No, that's Harriet Tubman. If that's how she looked, then I'm gonna respect that, right? But if it's just random woman and you just like, yeah, I'm gonna make it look like a manager at the Waffle House.
Well,
damn,
I also don't
you couldn't. All right, make her the manager at the Waffle House, but Easter Sunday, because you made her look like she just got off of a double. You know what I'm saying?
But, and that's
like, and it's like, is that how she wanted to look? If that's a real person, is that?
I mean, that's the question.
Is that how her profile picture looks? That woman right there, is that how her profile picture looks, or did you just capture her in a way where is that the statue she gonna untag herself from? Is what I'm trying to figure out. When she like, nigga, don't ever post me. Like, you know what I mean?
I mean,
we are picky,
yeah.
And I don't think that they made that woman. I don't think they didn't make Bonquisha look the way that she would have wanted to look if she was going to be a 12-foot statue. You know what I mean? Like, do her eyelashes or something. They didn't do to her what they should.
What I did hear from you is like being attracted to. And typically the purpose of a statue is not for people to feel attracted to it. Although when it comes to women's statues, there is, even in death, because a lot of statues are toward deceased people, or, you know, in likeness of, so many statues of women have been like stripped of their I'm trying to remember, like basically men have been fondling the breasts of so many statues that it like takes the paint off of them. Like they show, I swear to God, it showed picture. I swear to God, I actually saw it today. I can send you the post. They showed, not only was it pictures, but there were videos of like men going up and like,
okay.
So it's like, maybe a portion of this was like, yeah, none of that. Like, I don't know, but like, y'all not supposed to feel attracted to the statue. This ain't about what y'all are attracted to.
I mean, okay, no, and you're right, right?
Y'all are gross.
Listen, you're right. And that's why I'm trying to figure out how I feel about that, and I'm reserving my feelings based upon what I feel is the collective sentiment of not only Black women, but specifically Black women that have that body type. Because if they feel, but I also don't know if it's
like, there's
right.
Gonna be some who may be like, it's nice to see me.
I guess what I was always wondering was what was the intention of the artist, right? Because if it was for them to be celebrated, that's one thing. But I'm gonna feel some kind of way if you did this thing, and as a result, now a lot of Black women feel ridiculed. Right. You know what I'm saying? Because I don't give a shit what your intention was. If it led to that, then that's what I'm going to judge it off of, right?
What
because
if it's herself?
I don't know, but I did do some research. So
okay.
let's find out. I ain't ready yet. I just, before we hopped on, because I was curious, because
Yeah.
I did want to talk about it, but I was
Yeah.
like, I didn't want to leave it in this wondering land. Let's actually see what it says. So, who is that black lady? Right now, there's a 12-foot bronze sculpture titled "Grounded in the Stars" by British artist Thomas J. Price.
It's a man.
Yeah, of course it was. Which was installed in New York City's Times Square on April 29, 2025. The artwork depicts a young black woman in casual attire, t-shirt, trousers, and braided hair, standing with her hands on her hips and a contemplative expression. This piece is a part of Price's ongoing exploration of representation and identity in public art. The artist's intent. Thomas J. Prince aims to challenge traditional notions of monumentality by portraying everyday individuals rather than historical or mythical figures. He stated that the sculpture seeks to disrupt traditional ideas around what defines a triumphant figure and to challenge who should be rendered immortal through monumentalization. Public reaction. The statue has elicited a wide range of responses. Many viewers appreciate the representation of a Black woman in a prominent public space, seeing it as a powerful statement on inclusivity and diversity. However, others have criticized the piece, questioning its aesthetic choices and the decision to depict a fictional character rather than a historic figure. Right. And so, that's one of those things where it's like, okay, I can understand like the desire to do that. But like I said a moment ago, all facetiousness aside, right? Standing for a painting, being immortalized in a statue, most people, if given their preference, if that were a real person, that was allowing you to do that for them, they would not give you a picture of them just getting off from work, dead tired, and some crazy
But if
expression.
the purpose of it is everyday people in their everyday lives, because also like let's say he had a because I've actually seen this like in Chicago where there's like a multiple people statues around the park of everyday people, and you got people of all walks of life and how they sculpted them, and they're in very regular clothes, and it's like, have we just demonized what this representation of a Black woman is, as opposed to her just being a regular person?
No, you know what, and you're right. I hope that the other sculptures of regular people get just as much traction as this
They're
one
not
did.
going to. They're
You know
not
what I
going
mean?
to.
Show me the Mexican with,
They're not going to.
whatever that just got through from a long day of labor and they just look worn out. Like, don't all of a sudden the Mexican looks like Selena or some shit, right? And then the white woman looks like Scarlett Johansson. You decided to put that up as you know what I mean? Like, pass that shit around, because it ain't just us that is overweight and whatever. You feel what I'm saying? And I'm not trying to say like, oh, that she look like, no, it's not that. But again, I don't want us to become the butt of the joke, because what I know, and first I got to make certain that this dude is a Black person,
Right.
because one thing that they like to do is do shit that they know will set us off, because if you piss Black people off, the shit will go viral, right? So you could have picked anybody. You could have picked random ass Sally, fucking Marjorie Taylor Greene, and whole ridiculous, what one girl called a bad body Butch Bill. You could have put ass up there, or somebody that looked like her. No, you decided to pick one of us because you know Black people are going to do what we're doing right now. Right? Yeah. And not even just outright. Yeah, exactly. Right. And that we control the culture. So it's like, if I can get Black people up in the tizzy, now all of a sudden my name gets known. Mission accomplished. All right, bro, mission accomplished. I need to see some other shit that you're doing. And if all of a sudden everybody else looks pristine, now I got a problem with you. You know what I'm saying? Because that ain't where it's at. All right, here we go. Destination addiction.
Men, if not most Black men that I personally know, deal with destination addiction. And I know Black men from all different levels of their journey, all different ages, and a lot say the same thing. When they reach that destination that they think will make them happy, it ends up being a sad moment because they realize how much time went by and they didn't allow themselves to be happy throughout the duration of the journey of getting to the destination. And if you really think about it, like each destination or moment of success might last a day, 2 days, a week. Like it's like getting a new car, you know, but those 5 years or 10 years it took to get to that destination are a lot more valuable than that 1 week or that 1 day. And it's often realized when Black men are on top of one mountain.
Okay. So what was fascinating about that one is, destination addiction, I thought was actually fascinating. So when I saw this posted, it was posted by the sister, Jamil Hill, and she had a couple of other posts that were associated with this, and it was comments that people made, because essentially what she was asking was, is this something like that's like legit, and how do men feel about this? And so we had a couple of responses. Someone said, someone said, that's for all of us men. We don't work, we don't eat, we don't get love, and we aren't respected. We have to produce results in life. We have to sacrifice our happiness to make everyone happy. Someone else said, generally speaking, happy is a priority for women and children. Men can be happy, but our main focus is reaching the goal, whatever that goal may be. That gives us a sense of fulfillment. Someone else added in, this is with all men. What women don't realize is really how stressful life is as a man, is we don't have the luxury of choosing to be happy. 90% of the road to success for a man is suffering, so you can create happiness for those around you. Someone responded, women don't realize this is life for most people in general. In this economy, men are not some great creator of happiness for everyone. It's two adults, if you're lucky, working together to sustain life and be happy. And plenty of folks are just doing it alone, divorced, etc. Life as a woman is only as hard as you make it. Men don't have that choice. It's always hard. And then someone said, generally speaking, happy is a priority for women and children. Men can be happy, but our main focus is reaching the goal, whatever that goal may be. Okay. Nope, we already said that. Okay. So, yeah, what do you think about that? Destination addiction.
So my first thought was that I personally have a little bit of that. Like I have a hard time just like being in the moment, enjoying it, appreciating it for what it is. It's always like, okay, when I do this, I'm gonna really be killing it. And like sometimes I have to be very intentional about making sure I sit in the moment and realize, oh my God, like I'm so blessed, or I have so many great things in my life. So I don't think it's just unique to men though. But with the sort of like men always have it hard, I guess, I know too many men that are being like taken care of by women in a multitude of ways, some of which is financial. I don't buy that like their lives are just so hard all the time. Like we work, we kill food, we do, like that's just not realistic anymore. I think if you guys are carrying weight, it has more to do with like the breakdown of our families and how you were raised and kind of the way in which that we like allow men to exist and emote and all the things, which I think is unfair. But I was listening to another podcast the other day where it talked a little bit about like, I think they were talking about Paul Pierce. I don't know if you saw that clip about him saying that marriage is for poor people and old people.
Oh no, I did not see that.
Oh yeah, I'm about to share it with you. We can talk about it more next week. But basically, that marriage is for poor people because you need the two incomes to function, and then old people because you want to be like coupled up and pass away. And the argument, among the people on the podcast was just like, he can have that perspective because he's rich, whatever. But then also some people are like, he needs to talk to his mom who's been single her whole life and then is getting married at 70. And yeah, she's apparently getting married. And they're like, ask her if she would have wanted that life, like to be a single mom and struggling and all the things. And everybody acknowledged that, yes, the way you grow up, whatever your perspective is accurate. But then he's also in his, I don't know, I imagine late 40s, maybe early 50s, Paul Pierce.
Yeah.
At a point, you have to take some responsibility. Like, yes, we all have like childhood trauma. We have all these things, but like, you have to own, you got to learn, you got to step outside of your bubble. And so, I don't know. I think I think that that's a very real thing, the destination addiction, but you got to do a better job of like using the resources around you to correct that. Cause it's not worth it. And so many of us are really, really wealthy in a lot of areas. And if we don't focus on those things, we're so busy trying to get Balenciaga only to look back and it was like, what did that mean to my life?
Right.
So that was a long way around.
No. But to tap into that Paul Pierce thing, I gotta see that coming.
Okay.
He always saying some dumb shit, to be clear. Okay. And I remember it was this chick that I had met several years back, and she kind of had a bit of a crush on me.
Who doesn't, baby?
But I only share that to say that when I saw how much avid love she had for Paul Pierce during that point, that was one of the reasons why I was like, okay, some of her, because it's like, how is Paul Pierce your favorite player? I can see if you like a big time Boston fan at the time.
Was she a Boston?
Yeah, I mean she was, but Paul Pierce was he's the truth. No, he is not. Or whatever he used to go by. I think they used to call him the truth. That was like his name, the truth. Or he was either the truth or the answer. I can't remember which one. I think it was the truth.
No, AI was the answer.
No. I think he was. Was he the answer? Yeah, he was.
That's the only AI I recognize.
Right. But no, I think they used to call him the truth. And it's like, yeah, he hit some, some long range joints for me. But he used to play like an old nigga at the Y to me. And that was never impressive. But he's saying dumb shit because historically, literally, the richest men in the world are married.
Yeah.
What are you talking about, bro? Name Mark Zuckerberg.
Yeah.
Goddamn yo guy from Amazon. Jeff Bezos.
He was married.
He was married. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
He's
getting married again. Of course he is.
Bill Gates was
Donald
married.
Trump is married. Like, dude, what are you talking about? Like, I know the dumbass point you trying to make, but it literally is not backed by any factual evidence because literally Warren Buffett, like the top 10 richest men in the world are married, bro. What are you talking about, bro? Like, I get it. You're trying to go viral. And congratulations. I'm going to say some dumb shit so I can get some traction. That's all he's saying it. Because if he seriously believes that, that's one of the reasons that our people are so lost. Because they're taking cues from people that are just spewing anything that a simple Google search will show you that probably the top 50 to 100 people outside of Andrew Tate, you know what I mean, are rich, and he ain't top 100. I'm just saying, like, that's who you're taking your cues from. If all of a sudden I'm just going to shit on marriage, it's cool if it's not for you. Right. I'm not somebody that's here that's like, oh, if you don't get married, something like that, nigga, it's not for everybody. No. It is not. And I respect people. There's happiness. There's infinite possibilities and infinite ways. And I'm not somebody that feels like you are defined by who you are married to. But to say something like that is almost, you're being condescending to wealthy men as if there's no value, when in reality, there's a reason why a lot of these men are married. And I'm like, okay, if you're going to approach the topic then approach it in a way that has nuance and can actually provide people with some value. Because what they will understand is that one of the reasons that the wealthiest men are married is because of how arduous that pathway is to gaining wealth, and how there's never a better partner than someone who's committed to you. Your homies ain't gonna be up late with you grinding and shit, sitting on the goddamn couch going back and forth with you because you all are building something. That's what your fucking wife does, bro. Like, and it's like, if the moment that we get away from this bullshit and we start to actually recognize the value that we provide to one another, then we can actually build. So it's like that actually pisses me off, because I'm like, dude, you are in a position of influence and you got people, you got a platform, and instead you're deciding to say dumb shit. So there's some dude that's either on the fence, or maybe he's feeling somebody, or he's feeling a little lonely, but he hear the truth.
Or he's
saying,
never seen a successful marriage, or he's
you
never
know what I
seen
mean?
that, but like he wants to propose to his woman, and now it's like,
oh yeah, he right. Yeah, that's some poor people shit. And he don't realize that you just grifting.
Yeah.
You just trying to get you're searching for a viral moment on the backs of impressionable people that are actually pulling in your tutelage, you know what I'm saying, and hoping that it's gonna have value. Like, shit like that pisses me off when people do that, because you know, we're in this day and age, man, where people just refuse to recognize the value of having these platforms and having this kind of voice, and just what it means, what it entails. It comes with a responsibility. And so anytime that somebody is intentionally misleading people, it's like, do you really feel that way, bro? Do you really feel that way? Or is that just, yeah, this is just some shit I can say because we just, you know, drunk and talking shit. And that's cool if it's some barbershop shit. You know what I mean? If it's some barbershop shit, then it's cool. Yeah, just stuff like that pisses me off, because it's just like, there's so many people out here, man, that are searching. You know what I'm saying? And when you start to pollute the airways like that, all you're doing is just sending more people off, right? Meanwhile, 5 years from now, he'll be booed up and talking about how this is the love of his life and he's been waiting for her here. So, you know what I mean? Like, that's how people do. They'll say dumb shit like that. They know they full of shit. Yeah. And then when they meet that person, they feel very comfortable doing an about face. Meanwhile, you done sent 1,000 other people off into a dark space and had them missing out on something valuable because they were taking cues from you. Right. You know, one of the things that I was going to play, I'm not going to play it now, but it was a video from Aries Spears where he was sitting with his other former cast members of Mad TV. And, you know, there was this whole thing kind of came up where basically they were asking him like, well, you know, how do you feel? And, you know, maybe I'll end on that clip. Like that'll be the outro before if you all want to see it, because it actually was pretty poignant. It's got a little length to it. So I'll close out on that. But just know that he was being challenged as it relates to what he desired, you know what I'm saying? And Aries Spears, popular comedian, been in the game for over 20 years, well known, making money, you know, surviving, right? Doing more than surviving, but he ain't at Kevin Hart level. He not at Dave Chappelle level. And there was this feeling of emptiness that ultimately he was feeling as a result of it, while he's downplaying and kind of feeling like his life ain't, you know, really measuring up because he doesn't have all these things. And he was being challenged literally by everybody on the podcast who had different ideals of what qualifies as value. And so, you know, one of the women was asking him like, yo, well, if you got all of that tomorrow, do you really think that all of a sudden, instantly, like your life just kind of changes? Then he kind of acknowledges, but no, there's some other things that's important that I need to do. You know, I desire a better relationship with my son. I need to do that. And the woman that I want to marry for the third time, I don't know what that means. If this nigga's got married and divorced 3 times, that is a story that I know. But just acknowledging like I cheat on her and all that, I didn't want to do this. And it's like, and the woman basically was like, yo, you're bankrupt. Like first off, all of that stuff you could be working on now. Why are you waiting like you need to get the money, and then you'll address this stuff. And it's like, I feel like that's one of the mistakes that we all make. I remember J. Cole, one of his interviews that I saw a couple of years back that I thought was incredible, where he talked about he finally reached that space where, he's making all of this money. He thought he was good. And he recognized this emptiness that still existed on the inside of him. He was like, man, it was tough to swallow, because in his mind, he thought that achieving these goals was supposed to, rectify all of that additional stuff. Right. And he was basically talking about how, like, that's really when his life began. That's really when everything started, because he felt even more empty, because it's like, I achieved the thing that I've been chasing and I still feel empty. So it actually made him feel worse. And that's when he went on his kind of like little path of trying to figure out, who am I? And that's why, to me, he's like a super dope individual that's like very centered, even when it came to that beef. I know we all got a little disgusted that he kind of like bowed out of it, just because we wanted to watch all of the greats of that era kind of spar it out. I understood his decision. Like, yo, man, my piece is more important than, placating and entertaining and tap dancing for a bunch of people who don't really rock with me like that. You know what I'm saying? So
that's the best decision he could have made.
Yeah, and really it was, right? Like, and just like, let me step
Especially
out.
the way that played out.
Man, let me tell you something. Like,
You don't want to be on the other end.
man, but if he would have been in it, it would have been more. It would, man. It might not have been a side. It might have been like it might have turned into like a family feud that just got really messy, because he got bars, and his bars ain't them super metaphorical bars. They them creative, right at your neck bars, and it would have had the hip hop community talking, and we would have enjoyed it. You know what I'm saying? But his piece is more important.
Absolutely.
But as it relates to just the destination addiction, right? Just to give my insights on it, because I think it's a real thing, but I also think that it's something that as men, we have to take ownership of, because I think that it may be hard for us to find that happiness before we reach that space. But I'm here to share that it is possible, right? Because I am far from reaching what I consider to be my pinnacle. I had to make the conscientious decision to say, but I'm still going to live life and love it and be in the present until I get to that space, right? Because similar to what the sister said in that video, it's like, if the totality of your life comes down to these pinnacle moments, then that means that your entire life can be summed up in like 5 to 10 moments that lasted for what, an hour a day? You know what I mean? But life is really the process. So if you can't enjoy the process, if you can't take pause and be in the present and enjoy these moments, like, I got a toddler, and I kid you not, there's some moments recently, man, where like, I'm the one that gets him up in the morning. And there are moments where I just embrace him for a very long time. And I try to create like a mental memory, because I know he's never going to be this size again. Right. And there's going to be a time 10, 15 years from now that I would want to give everything to hop into a DeLorean and come back to this moment to be able to just embrace him at this size. You know what I'm saying? At this moment. But I can't. So me knowing that in the future, I'm going to want to come back to this moment and enjoy it unencumbered by all the stresses and all the what ifs and shit like that, I try to force myself to enjoy it in the present. Because there are times I look back to moments in my 20s, moments in my 30s, and I'm like, knowing how everything played out, damn, I wish I can go back and relive that day and be more present, because that was actually a beautiful moment. And I really enjoyed all those people around me. And damn, that was an incredible moment. And even if I had fun, I wasn't 100% present, because 40% of me, 50% of me, 60% of me was worrying about some shit. I was insecure about something that ended up not playing out, worried that people noticed some, thing that I was missing, some shortcoming that I had that they were not even aware of. And if they were, they wouldn't have gave a fuck either way, right? That was a narrative that was playing in my mind that was stripping me of present joy in that moment because I was worried about shit that wasn't even real. So, you know, they say hindsight is 20/20. So the fact that I can look back at my 30s and I can look back at my 20s and remember those moments where I wish I could have been more present. I wish I could go back and just relive that, not change anything, just go back and fully appreciate it for what it was. Hindsight being 20/20, that means here in my 40s, I shouldn't be making the same mistakes. Because once again, that's insanity. That's insanity if I'm now in my 40s thinking, oh man, well, I can't enjoy this until I'm rich, until I'm in the mansion. Nah, because you ain't got to be in a mansion, right? Like the same way that your shit wasn't perfect, but you look back in your 30s like they were beautiful, you're going to do the same in your 50s looking back at your 40s. So why don't you just try to put as much of yourself into this present moment as possible, right? And appreciate it and love it for what it is. You know what I'm saying? And I think that the more that we do that, that increases our gratitude. And when you are able to increase and tap into your gratitude, then you tap into that magnetic ability that we all have where you attract more things to you because like attracts like. If I'm constantly feeling this closure and this apprehension that's based upon the things that I don't have, right? And not being able to appreciate what it is that I do have, all I'm doing, man, is just creating this energy force field that's attracting more of that kind of energy to me. But the more that you can tap into just like that love energy, I think, honestly, God, that's one of the things that bothers me so much about just where everything is, whether it be the Trump administration, whether it be social media, and just how mean-spirited everything is. It's not that y'all hurting me. It's that I see y'all hurting yourselves. It's that I see people hurting themselves. I'm like, you all are living a life that's not providing value for you. I've never known someone to just wake up and be happy about being angry, right? It's that literally sounds like an oxymoron. That's a paradox. You can't be joyful in your anger. You can't be happy about your despair. You know what I mean? Like, so it's like, why are we holding on to this bullshit? You know what I'm saying? Like, why are we perpetuating this? And like they say, hurt people hurt people. Sometimes people want to create the outward. They want to manifest outwardly what it is that they're internally experiencing. You know what I'm saying? And for those of us that aren't, that's why I say, man, protect your peace. Block niggas. You know what I'm saying? That's one of the t-shirts that's on our website. I'll provide the link. But we are rounding the corner. This last topic, you know what I'm saying? I know, right? You say good. Look, I had to because I got it queued up. So I'm like, you know, I may as well. But I thought this was kind of interesting. It's called Dating Dilemmas.
Often I date younger men. And a lot of it is because...
Let's stop on that, folks.
Oh my God, we had a great dinner. We had a great dinner, by the way, where across the table, your husband goes, but why? And I said, well, maybe because I can.
Yes. This is what I'm saying. Tales from Tracy's.
It's fun. It's very fun to share.
Tracy tale.
But
I'm sorry.
But one of the reasons, though, that because I had to ask myself that question, I was like, what is this about?
Yeah.
Because I want a partner. And so often, and it's not just that I'm older, I'm also very embodied. I am a full, very whole person who knows myself, who is in charge of my life, and who lives a very full, just robust life. So it's not just age, it's like life experience and sort of a difference. But I had to ask myself the question, why? Why does this keep sort of coming up other than they're hot and gorgeous?
There's that.
But a lot of men my age are steeped in a toxic masculinity and have been raised in a culture where there is a particular way that a relationship looks. And anything that starts to smell of that for me, I did enough of it where I was controlled and felt like I was a possession or whatever those things were, or prize and I have no interest in it and I will not do it again.
Okay, so that was a fun little video, but I'm going to queue up both of these videos because both of them are part of what we'll call the dating dilemma.
Well,
Oh, sorry about that. Hold on. Messed that up.
And then they go online and they are a white supremacist.
This is Vera Papasova. She spent the last year dating far-right men in New York City for a story for Cosmopolitan magazine.
They're the most insecure men I've ever sat down with. It was really difficult to have some of these dates because they were so insecure, because they don't really know who they are and they don't know how to figure that out.
She said the men she dated got all their news and information from the so-called manosphere.
They did not listen to anything else. They're only listening to independent media, and they're only listening to men talking to men. They love the UFC guys. They love the MMA guys because those guys do what they can. They're modern gladiators. They're badass. One of these guys brought me to a political meeting.
And did they talk about politics?
Barely. They talked about, it was a bunch of men complaining about girlfriends and wives, regurgitating Andrew Tate type of advice about how to train your girlfriend, how to train your wife to be submissive. And so this group was supposed to be a political group, but they're talking about relationship problems. And the fact that that's what most of the time was spent on, you don't need to be a neo-Nazi. You need therapy. You have to incentivize someone to want to be better. You can't just say, let's make men better. The thing about these guys is their biggest support system is online, but that also is very isolating, and isolation is what breeds hatred. People have to really think about, do you have the capacity to talk to people that you don't agree with? Because that one nice conversation you might have might change someone's day enough to not have to seek out help in an online support group, which is actually a bunch of white supremacists using political beliefs as an excuse for how they feel.
No, that was kind of interesting, kind of telling. Now, I know I just went from two different extremes, right? But I saw this as like dating dilemmas. So that's what this segment is called. And I'll close out with, I'm just going to share this little funny story of this woman that had a bizarre exchange on Threads where she was like, every time I try to date outside my race, shit goes haywire. I said, ma'am, this story was key. She don't even know I'm about to use it tonight, but I had to let her know, like, yo, this was entertaining. But so all right, we'll just kind of tap into both real quick, right? Like, so with, you know, obviously the Tracy Ellis Ross situation, her being on Michelle Obama's podcast and her sharing that she typically tends to date younger men because of the fact that they are a little bit more open-minded, right? And not a little bit more willing to accept her growth and her evolution. Like, what are your thoughts on that?
I mean, it makes sense to me.
Because I am younger, and I'm just like, you know, how do you feel?
How much younger do you think? If you want to try to bag Tracy Ellis Ross, I'm gonna let you try. Like,
I'm talking about with us. You know what I'm
okay.
saying? With us,
like,
you're
not younger than me. It was a good try though. But no, I think, you know, Tracy Ellis Ross is also coming from a very specific lifestyle.
Right.
Like, she has been royalty her entire life.
Right.
She is
Right.
R&B or, you know, pop royalty her entire life. But but she had, I mean, if you follow Tracy Ellis Ross in any capacity, you recognize, like, you could see how fulfilling her life is. Like, she is never, I feel like sometimes you could see people and they exude sort of healed and whole, and they have it together. They just, you know, they can vacation by themselves. They can do all this stuff. Like, they are very happy in their own skin. A lot of times we see it in men and we don't question it because they're men. It's not, he's some cat lady at whatever age. He's Richard Branson on skydiving. And this man is, but he owns Virgin, and, you know, he's he's fun. He likes to do all these things. And that very well may be true. He may be married. I don't know. But just,
you know what? I was just thinking, oh shit, is he?
I don't know.
I mean, and not that I'm surprised, but I was like, yeah, I ain't never heard of him.
I mean, I don't know enough about him though, but
I'm about to Google that shit real
but the
quick.
point is, like, with Tracy, I think she's got that same very carefree nature about her, and she's had the privilege to probably have that experience, like being rich, being in a very famous family. Like, she hasn't had to carry some of the burdens that maybe other young Black women have, and she's been able to evolve in her career and make a name for herself and all these things. And I love that for her. Like, she is one of the, not only one of the most entertaining people to follow, but she's also just she seems like a really great person. And so when you have the average population coming from this is such a woke response, but I can't, you know who I am. We're in this very patriarchal society. Like, no matter, especially men in her age group and over, they want a very traditional wife or a traditional woman. And Tracy ain't that. She's never been that, and she probably never will be that. But it doesn't mean that there's not someone out there for her. Like, I think that sometimes we have women like that and feel like, see, that's why she needs to do X, Y, and Z. No, she needs to find the person that fits that. And for her, it may be someone that's younger. Now, I don't mean that she's chasing after a 19-year-old man, which everybody wanted to equate her response to, like, with Shannon Sharp. It's like, come on, man. She said younger. She didn't say a teenager.
You know, we always do that ridiculous shit. That ridiculous whataboutism. Like, oh, okay, so Shannon Sharp can't have sex, explicit sex with a barely legal woman. Oh, but Tracy, like, bro.
At no point did Tracy say that.
Tracy is in her 50s. She's probably talking about a nigga 45, okay?
Or 35 even.
Right. Absolute youngest 35, but probably in his 40s, okay? Like 15 years younger than her. Nigga, she wasn't talking about 20. There's no way that she's dealing with a 20.
Because unless she is specifically talking about sex, someone like Tracy Ellis Ross wants somebody to be able to stimulate her mind. And somebody that young, it would be very difficult for her to find a 19 or 20-year-old that could really have, like, an engaging conversation.
Not that this is relevant, but this actually makes me wonder about Jada Pinkett Smith and August Alsina, right? Like, in terms of before all the messiness ensued, right? Like, if he never came out and messed that all up, what was her mentality of what that was? Because I mean, we know a lot of it probably was also physical and, you know, in nature, but he was probably old enough to turn her on and may have had some elements that made her feel like youthful. But I am a little curious to know, like,
I mean, I've
you know, beyond, you know, everybody always demonizes her. It's like, yo, stop the bullshit. Like, yeah,
like I've only started her book. I'm only a couple of chapters.
Does she address it in there?
I don't know. I haven't, because she's still a kid at the point that I'm in. So she's talking about her upbringing, which is wild. But I haven't gotten to the end, so I don't know if she speaks to it at all in her book. But just knowing what I know about her husband and their dynamic, he's always wanted a very specific aesthetic of their family. I think he was and probably is somewhat really controlling.
Talking about Will?
Yeah. And just very controlling of what the narrative looks like. So you got to kind of, like, you could do whatever you want to behind closed doors, but, like, this is what we need to look like as a unit. And for someone like Jada, and like I said, I'm only into, like, her teen years right now, trying to put her in a box like that, she's probably felt like a caged bird or animal on display for a very long time. And that is simply not who she is. I don't know how she even agreed to it. Like, she is, I mean, she had it's a standard Baltimore experience, but at least for Black kids, but still, like, she wanted so much more, I think, for her own personal life. And
just FYI, Richard Brunson the Branson, I'm sorry, I said Brunson, is the British, I've got the Knicks on my mind, is the British entrepreneur and founder of the Virgin Group, is married to Joan Templeman.
No.
The couple met in late 1970s and married in 1989.
Oh, you've been
They
very
have
funny.
2 children together, Holly and Sam Branson.
Mhm.
Their enduring relationship has been a cornerstone of Branson's personal life, with Joan often described as his steadfast partner and source of wisdom.
thought
So
only
look
4
at you
people.
putting him
I know.
in well, because he liked to hang out with Obama on some. He probably got Obama out there wilding out, doing all kind of loose shit, whole shit. You know, got Obama out there on some whole shit. You totally made that
I
nigga on
did.
some. You know what I mean?
Y'all knew what I meant.
I mean, whatever. You know what I mean? But okay, now. Okay, no, you gotta get
I'm
the
listening.
detail. Okay, right. Listen, we at the crib, okay, and you know, late night snacks. But that last article though, right? Or the last piece about it got cut off in the beginning, but the part that she was saying was that how a lot of conservative white supremacist alt-right people like in their real lives, they got all these liberal friends, blah, 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 blah. Then they hop online and they become this super conservative alt-right, you know, whatever. So like there was so much that got said in that little brief period that I just found interesting. And one of the reasons of why I ended it like the last video with that is because it even harkens back to what we were just talking about earlier as it relates to David Hogg with the believing that, you know, men can't get laid. And, you know, this new weird ass space that we find ourselves in where everybody is attempting to placate to fragile white men. Right. And I'm not someone that says, fuck their feelings. That's not how I feel, because I honestly do believe that everybody's emotions and everybody's feelings matter. Like that's genuinely how I feel about certain things. But I also don't like where we get to this space where one of the most privileged groups all of a sudden is attempting to change the narrative and convince those of us that are not only dealing with the same shit that they deal with, that all like the same people woes, we also have to deal with the systemic shit. You know what I'm saying? Because as we all know, when you got a little bit of money in your pocket, it's not that issues automatically evaporate, but it does make handling them a little bit easier, right? Like you can get a therapist when you can pay for it. That's one of the main reasons that people in the Black community have not sought out therapy, because we have not had the means. We don't have the insurance. We don't have the money to seek out some of these things. So it feels a little bit like a slap in the face and like a gaslight when I see all of a sudden people saying, well, what the Democratic Party needs to figure out is this group of individuals that historically do not align with us and do not align with equality and everybody having a fair shot at success. Yeah, we need to figure out how we can pull them in. Well, how are we going to pull them in without totally usurping what the entire message of the Democratic Party has been up to this point, right? Which is a more inclusive, a more diverse, a more, you know, equitable space. If we are not attempting to acquiesce to that, if we're saying, yeah, let's placate to the group of individuals that are playing victim right now, then yeah, pretty much you're about to lose the entire party. You're about to lose the entire party, because the one thing that people do not want to acknowledge is that the bedrock of the Democratic Party for the last several decades has been Black people. People trying to figure out how Biden, you know, won in 2020. He got 2020 once he won South Carolina. Let's be clear. He hadn't won any other primary up to that point. He wins South Carolina handily. And what the party saw was, oh shit, the Black people got his back. And they knew what that meant. So now all of a sudden, and that's one of the reasons why I was upset about this stuff that's going on with Malcolm Kenyatta, and the fact that all of a sudden we're like, yeah, let's press David Hogg to the forefront. It's like, see, y'all about to make that same fatal mistake that y'all always make, right? Where you all are forgetting where the source of your strength comes from. Because make no mistake about it, 70% of white people voted for Trump, and they did so willingly. And another thing, while I'm on this topic, that I told myself I was definitely going to address tonight, and I'll save my dating dilemma story for later because it's choice. But I want to end on this because it's important. One of the things that is really chafing my hide and that's pissing me off is this constant narrative that the Democrats are the reason that Trump is in office, that anyone else is the reason why Trump is in office. It's almost like y'all lost it. No, he won it. He won it. Put some respect on that man's name. He fucking won it. Stop making excuses, because every excuse that you all make, basically what you all are doing is you all are releasing accountability of the people that thought it made sense to elect him, as heinous as he was. I keep seeing all of these reasons. Well, we got to appeal to young white men. Well, why is it that they did this? Well, why did they vote for Obama? Well, why didn't they do this? Y'all, it was two major reasons. It was bigotry and it was misogyny. I don't care what it is that you all are saying. Prove me wrong. Prove me wrong. Y'all keep making, Bernie this and the progressive this and AOC this. Y'all, he cleared the field of Republican candidates in the primary. Everybody that they were claiming was supposed to be some superior candidate, the Governor DeSantis, he was supposed to be the standard bearer. How is it that Trump, while facing multiple convictions, right? All of this shit, January 6th, all of this stuff, he still cleared the Republican field. Y'all miss me with this nonsense like y'all don't love him. Miss me with this nonsense like people don't respect and honor the bullshit that he's on. That's why y'all ain't saying nothing now. That's why everybody is kissing the ring, because they love this shit. Let's own it. If we cannot move past it, if we don't own it, they like Trump. This wasn't an anti-Kamala thing. They like Trump. I don't think Obama can beat Trump. Yeah, I said it. Because they love racism. Racism is as American as apple pie. If we cannot accept this, we cannot move past it. And everybody is talking about 2028. Yo, are we even going to make it to 2026? That's what's pissing me off. Now, all of a sudden, everything is about the Democrat. You watch Fox News, you watch MSNBC, you watch CNN. Nobody's talking about what this crazy lunatic is actually doing in office. What they're talking about is what the Democrats aren't doing and how they're not going to get back in power in 2028. Why are we even talking about an election? This dude is a little over 110 days in. Are y'all serious? Is this what American politics has turned into, right? Where it's only about the competition. Once the person is in office, we don't give a shit. It's all about the back and forth. And I kid you not, you already know Trump can't wait to get back on the stump, because that's all he fucking loves. He don't like governing. He ain't got no real solutions. He just likes attention. He wants another rally. And y'all are giving it to him because you all are not holding his feet to the fire. Instead, what you all choose to do is talk about everything that the Democrats aren't doing, right? Who's going to be up in 2026? Who's going to be up in 2028? How about we talking about what's happening right now? We might hit a Great Depression before 2026, and it's going to be all of y'all's fault because you all choose to focus on all the bullshit instead of what is right in front of our face, that you all collectively elected the most inefficient, unintelligent person that we have ever seen to hold this office. And I don't care what y'all say. That's why I'm just like, yo, I'm with the black women that's sitting on the roof of that building, sipping tea, waiting for the world to burn. Because y'all are seriously sitting here. The man is accepting a $400 million jet, and we're just like, it's a Tuesday. Yo, we are 110 days in, and he is accepting $500 million gifts from people that have ties to terrorism, and we are acting like this shit is cool. Y'all, when the ball finally drops, it's going to be way worse than COVID. I'm not even a negative person. I'm actually a very positive person. But I 2 + 2 = 4. You're not going to convince me otherwise. You all put a lunatic in a very important position, and we're sitting here trying to. Well, I don't understand why he's doing this with the tariffs, because he's a fucking idiot. Seriously, you guys, I swear to God, it drives me insane that no one wants to talk about this as it actually is, that no one is being passionate and serious enough about what is before us. But it's one of those things that pain is going to sober us up. I promise you it is. I promise you pain is going to sober us up. It really is. And for those of us that already knew, I hope that you're making your subtle preparations. I hope that we are making alliances and that we are circling these wagons, because one thing about us and our people is we know how to survive. One thing about us and our people is we know how to move past these trying situations. But I promise, man, listen, when it finally hits the fan, which I don't know what it's going to be, I don't know when it's going to happen. I just know it is. It's an inevitability. It's an inevitability. When you see all the ridiculous stuff that's happening, there is no way that we just continue on this path, skipping down the yellow brick road, and we just go into some utopia. This dude has not been invested in any of us. He don't even care about the people on his side. That's how I know it's going to happen. Because he literally tried to have his last vice president hung. And we sitting here like, oh, man, I'm just surprised that he would do something like that. You guys are trying to appeal to him like he's listening. Did y'all see what happened to Rudy Giuliani? Remember after 9/11, that was like America's mayor. He was like an incredible dude. And now the dude got like, y'all see the pictures. Y'all saw the videos. It's ridiculous, right? So, listen, man. Yeah, y'all can call it Trump derangement syndrome. I call it common sense. And when it happens, I just hope that you all remember those individuals that were telling you all it was coming, and not so that you can come to us and be like, yeah, you were right, but because people that see it coming are also going to be the people that help us navigate our way out, right? What I don't want is for all of a sudden, when people pull their parachute and they parachute out this burning plane, that then all of a sudden they try to flip the script and position themselves as the new leaders. Now, everybody that's acting like they're cool and that's not outraged at what they're seeing, I need you to hold them accountable. Dead ass. You know what I'm saying? And remember those voices that was the quiet or the sense and the sensibility in the middle of a storm, right? And that's all I'm gonna say on that, right? Because we are in a space right now, man, where literally, like I said, it's a constant gaslighting, and the only peace that I have is knowing that there will be a point where, man, we gonna have to atone for it. We are going to have to atone for it. I told you guys that I was going to end on the video with Aries Spears. And, I just because I thought that it was something that was kind of valuable. So give me a moment where let me see. I think it was this one right here. But you guys, it has been a pleasure as always. Got some special news to share with you guys. But I'm gonna wait till next week. And I just want y'all to remember that I want you all to save the dates for July 24th, 25th, and 26th. Something really special. A weekend long event is happening July 24th, 25th, 26th. I'm going to be promoting it heavily come next week. But I just wanted to put that on you all's being, just so that you all can say, I told y'all about it. But as always, I love you. And thank you for tuning into the script, man. I hope you all, enjoyed it. Don't hesitate to send your feedback. You know what I'm saying? All the love, all the gifts, all the feedback, even if it's negative, I listen to it all. It is what it is. But until the next time. All right, where am I? Oh, here we go.
Never felt like anybody owed me shit. For me, I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be doing exactly what I'm supposed to be doing. And
amen.
For me, it was like, well, what the fuck do I want to do with my life? Not what a business or career is. I don't call myself having a career. I don't have a career. I have creative opportunities that I can say yes to or no to. Bottom line, which is why you don't see me on camera a lot. I fucking tatted my fucking self up because I don't give a fuck. I'm going to do what I love to do. And the door's open for me in terms of voiceover.
I'm going to start tatting myself up.
I think some neck tattoos would be nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have
maybe
one.
a teardrap. Yeah. Oh, wow. That's nice.
Yeah. Okay. Calm down.
Yeah. How do you feel now, Aries?
You know,
You've done well, Aries.
And allow what's
hold on, but I don't want to be that. I don't want to be that guy to shit on what y'all saying because I get where you're coming from. But that
wait, what did she say?
About
in a nutshell, tell me. I don't think you get it.
No, I absolutely get it. I hear it.
Well, then tell me what it is.
About being satisfied within your own journey, and this is what your journey is. And
hallelujah.
Right.
Yeah.
So, but what I'm saying is, that sounds good.
No, it doesn't sound good. It is good. She's living that truth.
What is missing? What do you want? Because I know you have money. I saw what you rolled up in. I'm driving a Fiat from 2011.
And I'm driving a fucking base model Chevy motherfucking Spark. Roll your windows up, bitch. So what are you talking about? Where you come from? You live in a 1-bedroom apartment.
Yeah.
Don't tell me shit. And I'm happier than a motherfucker with a mansion. Don't tell me shit about your life.
I want to be the motherfucker with the mansion.
No.
Why? How many rooms do you need?
It's just always been my dream since a kid that I want to be that dude. I want to be as big as Kevin Hart.
But you are that dude. My thing is
in terms of talent and ability.
Right, but
my pockets don't show that.
But you know what? Your equation, I get it. But your equation you'll never be satisfied. I'm just gonna tell you this right now. I'm gonna be real.
Hold on.
No.
What's the number?
Stop.
What's the number?
Your
What's the
equation
satisfaction
will never
number?
be satisfied. Why? Because some other motherfucker will come along that'll take and blow the world up, and you'll want to be that. And then some other motherfucker will come around and have as talented as you, or possibly more, and then you're going to get upset because again, you focus on everything that is not you.
Hold up.
Everything you want.
Wait a minute.
But not what's in your present space.
No, listen, I hear you, but what I'm just saying is when I go to comedy clubs and listen, I'm not saying this is me saying this. I'm telling you what people have said to me, and they go, "Yo, man, you one of the GOATs. Yo, you a legend." And I go in my mind, no, stop. Eddie Murphy's a legend. Richard Pryor is a legend.
Right.
Dave
but then
Chappelle.
You stop. No,
I'm
and
not
the reason
them.
I shut you off is because if they tell you that, shut the fuck up, listen to what they're saying, and accept it.
Well, I do kind of.
You know what I'm saying?
But listen.
You always have Aries, because you always have some shit after that to say no, that's not yours. Hey, but
what I'm saying is, it's hard for me when I hear that and they go, "Yo, you top 5, you up there with Cat Williams, Dave Chappelle," and I'm just going,
yeah.
If my talent is that,
Aries,
then why
Aries?
Aries, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
I'm gonna let it shine, let it shine, let it shine, let it shine.
If tomorrow you got that mansion and that big bag of cash, you think a switch is just gonna flip on for you, and that you'll automatically be, "This is what I deserve, and I'm a happy man today." If tomorrow that happened for you.
From that aspect of having it,
Let's say you said, okay, you want your flowers, you're the GOAT, you dreamt of this mansion your whole life.
Yeah.
If by midnight you move into that mansion of your dreams and you get everything you've ever dreamt about, the money, the bag, the mansion, whatever it is, do you think that you could sit there and be like, okay, I got it, I'm fulfilled, I am happy?
I would be happy if I got that plus the things that really matter.
What are the things that really matter?
I'm not a great father to my kids.
Okay,
oh,
we're
God,
getting
my
somewhere.
heart just exploded.
So I want to tighten up my relationship with my son.
Oof, do that, and maybe the mansion will follow.
And as much as I love the woman who I want to marry for the third time, I cheat. I fuck other women.
Yeah.
So I have a problem.
So
with
you have holes in your body
Yeah.
that not a mansion or a bag of cash will ever fill.
Whoa, wait. If I'm going to fuck up, let me fuck up with the mansion. But not saying I want to fuck up. I'm just simply saying that exterior shit, that's what I've dreamt about. That's what I want. Now, if I got it tomorrow, that part I could check off the list and go, I got it. But I still would need that other shit to be in place too.
Which one can you control?
Yeah.
Why not both?
You can't control both.
Why not both?
How you won't answer that? Do you see?
Which
Mo,
one can
ask
you-
it again.
Well, I
Which
mean,
one
no,
can you
no,
control?
the surface answer,
Or your relationship?
the surface answer is the relationship.
All right, then.
That's not a surface.
But listen,
what's real.
My manager used to say to me, "You want
If you ever do this again, I swear to God,
What?
just put your hand toward, you're doing some sorcery."
No.
Okay, all right.
His quote was,
I have it too, dude.
His quote was always, "You want to be rich, you want to be right." Because very rarely in this business can you be both. And I don't subscribe to that. I think you can be rich and right.
No.
Is it a harder path? Dave Chappelle is rich and right. He does whatever he wants.
But that's
says
Dave
whatever he
Chappelle.
wants.
But Dave Chappelle doesn't have the same circumstances. So when you tell me, hey, he's fucking other women, hey, he doesn't have a great relationship with his kids, then come to me, then step to me.
Hold on for a
But
second.
you are no.
Okay.
You're telling me you have an opportunity, that you can create an opportunity to be wealthy first here and then see it on the outside. You're trying to get it both at the same time. You're never going to be rich out there. You know why, motherfucker?
Because you ain't rich here.
No, right, because you're bankrupt. You're bankrupt, Aries. Aries, you're bankrupt.
That's a great.
But my thing is,
that's
this.
a great chapter in a book.
No, it's the real. Brother,
You're
I
spiritually
love
bankrupt.
you. You are bankrupt. And my thing is this. You don't have to be. I know you. You're a good man. If you want to be a good father, continue being a good man. I know you, Aries. So don't fuck with me, because right now I'm serious.
All right,
and I'm
don't
a
get
little
emotional.
pissed off.
No.
I'm a little pissed off. You're a good man. You have
sometimes too good.
You can find out.
He's okay.
You can.
He's an okay man.
No, but
Okay.
it's not. This shit is real.
No, but let me tell you something. Listen,
Don't go for the outside shit. It won't make you
the
happy.
things-
And thank you for bringing that up. You can be a good father right now.
the things that
You can be a good man to your
things-
wife right
the
now.
things. Well, wait a minute now. What I'm not going to do is sit here and completely shit on her. All I'm simply saying is this is a two-sided affair. So what I'm saying is this: yes, I've done my shit, but she ain't fucking innocent. And one might say, well, why even be in that toxic situation? I don't know, but love is what it is. We got a chemistry and a thing that when we write, we write. But when we not, we not.
But couldn't you argue that you just focus on keeping your side of the street clean? Like, there's nothing you can do to control a partner, even if you have been together for a really long time.
Amen.
And marriage has to be perfect. Like they can't be. You know what I'm saying? It's like the ocean and tides. They go out, they come back in, but you still stay focused on it. It's not always going to be that fire.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's just all farts, and
And sometimes you just got to grow the fuck up.
I hear you.
You got to be a man who continues to grow the fuck up.
I hear you. But
Because I know your
for
potential.
for the people that I love and that I care about, I'll give you my last fucking dime. And Lord knows I have. And I mean, I've broken bread so many times and felt like I've either been not appreciated for it or taken advantage of it. So there's a part of me that, yeah, I'm angry. I'm fucking.
You have a right, but you know what? That's why you take that anger and make sure it's not put in places where it doesn't belong. Because when life hands you shit, brother love, you are minerals. And when you put shit and minerals together, you can grow fertilizer and grow more than you've ever thought you could grow.
Plant a radish.
But my
radish.
Don't do that.
But my thing is
Don't
my
you
thing
go.
is this. Thank you. And thank you, because those are the things you can't control. You can't control whether you get a mansion or not. So you could be chasing your tail. You never want to outrun the spaces you can take care of as a man in order to run to keep up with shit that you don't have that is a dream. Let it go for now. Take care of the reality and trust that whatever is meant to come will come. Because who knows? The man you grow into, like Mo, you may decide, I don't even know if I want that anymore. Because I found that my relationship with my son, my relationship with my children, you may not know that, Aries, until you start moving in that direction.